Good evening, everybody. My name is Salco. Welcome again to Playday number 3 for the first week of SCS Season 4. It has been a phenomenal week of games. We've had 4 best-of-2 series go on so far, the final 2 about to be played, and I'm joined for the first one by Al and Wetnude, who are going to be your phenomenal casters for the evening. How are you doing, guys?
I'm doing just fine. It feels great to be back in the casting booth after some long-awaited time away, but I'm excited. This should be quite an interesting matchup.
Definitely. Al, how are you?
I'm doing great. Came off of a pretty awesome best-of-2 series just yesterday, so hopefully, with seeing more teams being more competitive in the league so far, this is going to be an absolute game that comes down to the wire, just like it did in the best-of-2s that we saw yesterday.
I definitely hope so too. I mean, I feel like especially these first 2 teams, Pryde and Hostile Actions, we'll get into Renaissance, and Emergence later on, but Pryde and Hostile Actions, 2 very, very strong teams we saw from the qualifiers. Pryde is actually a new org for the team HC, otherwise known as LFO Heaters. So if you saw them going through the qualifiers, that is who we are going to be seeing tonight from that side. And then Hostile Actions as well, they've remained the same throughout the quals. So let's take a look at who we're going to be seeing. Oh, actually, no, the map bans are up. I'm so sorry about that. My lord, I'm just there. But look at this. We're going to see Oregon yet again. It's been a very common theme, and the second map of the day is going to have to be Clubhouse. So very popular maps for this week, number 1. I'm pretty sure we've had very little variation, if any. But we know for sure it is going to have to be Clubhouse for that second. So what are you guys thinking about these bans? Al, take it away on Oregon.
We've seen the T3 trifecta mainly include Cafe, Villa, and Clubhouse. All teams play them. Everyone knows how to run their defaults, and it's never really a gamble to pick one of those maps because you know that you're going to be pretty consistent. With Oregon being reintroduced, it was a previous Pro League map. Everyone kind of knows how to play it. Therefore, it really slotted in. And with Pro League having it as the most played map, it just was a natural fit in for teams in the T3 scene to really pick up. And it's pretty much taken over as the default map. Everyone knows how to play it. No one really feels uncomfortable. So they'd rather target ban out Coastline against fragging teams, Theme Park against teams that have a wider map pool, as well as just getting those other uncomfortable picks out of the way before they go to these 2, I don't want to call them boring, but they're kind of your cookie cutter maps. They're everything a map should be. They don't have like the same kind of quirks that a map like Coastline or Theme Park have. It's just standard Siege.
That's fair enough, Al. Yeah, I've got to agree with a lot of your assessment there, but I think maybe a different way to word boring map might be instead that the teams make it interesting, because the maps themselves are very straightforward, but these teams that we're going to be seeing here are the epitome of T3. So I believe that we are going to be seeing some very exciting gameplay here tonight. It's going to be very back and forth, no matter what the data might say. And let's kick it over to Wetnude, my friend. Obviously, you have been a coach and a player for a while now in competitive Rainbow Six, so you know Clubhouse probably like the back of your hand, I'm sure. So why don't you take it away on telling us what you think about that pick here and why it's so crucial for a lot of teams?
I think Clubhouse has just been in the map pool for so long, like some of these other maps, but Clubhouse has become a very follow a checklist and you'll win the round, and it doesn't really matter where the attack comes from. If you can follow a certain checklist, you're good. But there's also the downside that if a monkey wrench is thrown in your plan, it just comes down to funneling doorways and gunning. And that's just kind of the double-edged sword that you get with playing this map. We've seen some very cool variations, like when SSG came up with their roam. That was something that was very unique. So teams are still kind of trying to find ways to make this a very interesting map. But this is, 5 for 5 now in best of 2s that we've seen Clubhouse. So
yes,
us as SCS and casters and analysts know this map just as good as I think these players do.
Oh, definitely 100% agreed there, Wetnude. And honestly, I think something that we could potentially be seeing in the future, I don't know if the meta is going to affect this at all, but I think it'd be really interesting if people come up with strategies for bar stock. You know, I mean, currently that site is absolutely unplayed in a lot of markets, especially Pro League. We've only seen it maybe once in the past 4 months, I'd say, and I can't remember the team actually for that, but that was a while ago, and even then it was not very successful. So maybe it'll be changing here with new operators that are getting released and new strategies that are coming out. But let's go ahead. I know we have some extra time going on right now, so let's take a look at the players that we're going to be seeing here from these two rosters. So first up, oh, that's actually Renaissance there, so that's going to be our second game of the night. So, but first up, we've got Pryde. So let's talk a little bit about Pryde. They have been an org, not necessarily the roster, but the org has been around since January of 2020, so they're a little bit newer, but they've gained a substantial following in that period of time, and they've expanded to quite a few games. But taking a look at the actual roster that we're seeing here, this is the old HC Esports roster. They've been a very long-standing group. They've been through a lot of different competitions. They know each other well. They have great chemistry, with the exception of just a couple changes that have gone on recently with that. And another thing that I'd like to highlight is that they are gunners. That is their number one selling point, is that they are gunners, guys. They will come out of nowhere and they will absolutely hit their heads. So which one of you guys wants to tackle Pryde right now? I know that you guys probably have some opinions about them. You obviously saw them during the quals and before that potentially. So
I can take a swing at it just because I actually have a history against this team. In Omega Challenge or Omega CL, we actually played them, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they absolutely mopped the floor with us. I mean, these guys are coordinated gunners, which is something that you don't necessarily see in T3. It's either you're coordinated or you're a gunner. It never feels like they're together, but that is out the window with this team. This team is going to coordinate their pinches, their pushes, and it is just going to absolutely slaughter you. So I think this is going to be an extremely tough game, especially if Pryde come on ready to go.
yeah, I would have to agree with you there. I mean, everything that I've seen from this roster has been immensely positive, and I think the key for Hostile Actions, and that's going to be the perfect segue into that roster, but I think the perfect key for Hostile Actions is going to be shutting down those key fraggers, preventing them from executing their rushes and their takes that they want to do. So let's go ahead and take a look at Hostile Actions then. This is the French-Canadian team coming out of a pretty recent, actually, again at the beginning of 2020, specifically, my lord, my English today, but they have been involved in a lot of different competition. They've been around in ESA, some UPL events. Now they are here to shoot their shot in SCS. And what I've noticed so far from them, just looking at their histories, is they are a strong team. No lie there. They have taken so many dominant victories throughout the qualifiers, and they just play very effectively, and they are a well-rounded roster, honestly. I think they have the strategies to be able to counter a team such as Pryde, but at the same time, they've got a lot of fragging potential. So we're going to have to see, because obviously this will be their first time on the major stage that is SCS now. So I'm excited to see exactly what they're going to bring. So Al, do you know anything about Hostile Actions? You want to take a crack at what they've got to offer tonight?
Yeah, I think that this match, this best of two, is actually going to really similarly resemble the first best of two that I casted yesterday of 303 versus In Control. You have two very similar teams. Hostile Actions, a very solid, well-rounded team, much like 303, and Pryde is a very heavy fragging team, much like In Control. And you're going to see the same major dynamics. It doesn't... it obviously helps that we're playing on the exact same maps as the previous series, but the main principles still carry over. We're going to see a team that will win their 1v1s in Pryde. They're going to just come out ahead if you take head-on-head engagements, and Hostile Actions, they're going to have to figure out how to play around it. If they're able to develop strategies to play around it, then Pryde is going to be like, they're going to be left in a very uncomfortable situation where they're not going to be able to rely on their frags. They're not going to be able to go back to their comfort picks. They're really going to have to step up and find something new. And we saw that yesterday with a very close series. And going into this series, I'll be really interested to see who comes out on top, because really with both of these teams, they come off of such a strong baseline. We saw great performances from each of them in the qualifiers. And it really will come down to who's done their homework, who's VOD reviewed their opponents, who's set up those counter strategies in these 2 weeks between the qualifiers and now, and who's coming into this match better prepared.
Definitely, Al. I appreciate that. That's awesome. You guys are both spot on with those assessments for sure. And I think that potentially if we could tack one team to maybe have an advantage in this one, it might be Hostile Actions, because obviously that is the more strategic roster out of the two of them right now. So since there's not many VODs out, obviously, of the qualifiers, they have the potential to really pull out a lot of pocket strats that have not been seen by them so far. So Pryde might be at a disadvantage just, running and gunning. Obviously, they're a strong roster as well. I'm not trying to discount that. So it's still going to be a very immensely close game, and I think potentially even closer than our series that we had yesterday between 303 and In Control. But we'll have to see. But taking a look at what we've gotten so far, obviously, we're just waiting on the results from these four teams today to round out our Week 1 standings. But currently, Redux Rising sits in a very dominant first place. They were the only team to win out both of their matches in regulation, so they get an extra point up on the Wichita Wolves, who went to overtime versus their opponent. I believe that was first attempt on the very first game of this season. So Redux looking really strong. Unfortunately, though, at the bottom of the leaderboard, we've got Synthetic right now, who took 0 points total in their series. So Synthetic's going to have a little bit of catching up to do, but I know that they are a very strong roster, and having spoken a little bit to some of their players last night after our series, I would have to say that they are going to try and come back stronger than ever. But this series today, or these two series, I should say, are really going to determine the outlook for which teams take an early dominant lead. So it's going to be a heater of a day for sure. Anything you guys see that we need to be looking out for, Wet Nude, Al? Any teams that you're looking at potentially to take an early, split from the remainder of the competition?
I mean, I gotta say, it's really tough to say with this one, because this one could go either way. We talked about it. Pryde, although the org itself is new, HC is not. And if I remember correctly, this roster's kind of been together for a while. So there's a possibility Hostile Actions could have went back, found some VODs, and because they don't have maybe as many on themselves, this could go one-sided if there's a good opportunity here to counter strat Pryde, because they aren't necessarily a new team, they're just under a new org.
Sure.
With that being said, I can't wait to see Emergence a little later on. I think they've got a good shot to take maybe both points, or all the points from both maps. But I think this first one's going to be very interesting, and I think there's a possibility that Pryde could come out swinging and take all the points, and there's a possibility that the other team, Hostile Actions, could do it as well if there's counter stratting brought up.
Yeah, it is 100% a toss-up, honestly. I mean, these games here both are so strong that we've been talking about. But taking a look at the statistics so far, as we just saw on that previous page, Devil from Wichita Wolves coming out strong. He's got, I believe, a 1.44, if I read that correctly, and he's got a positive 11 kill ratio right now. So he is absolutely going off this week, and we'll look to see him continue that. And hopefully after today, we're going to see some really amazing statistics coming out of all the teams that are playing for this one, so keep an eye on the Twitter for that. But other than that, any other players that you guys have seen in the previous games this week? I know Wet Nude, you were obviously on the desk yesterday, but anybody see anybody that we need to be watching out for? I know we just talked about teams, but who's your players of the week so far?
Oh, I'm gonna butcher his name, but because, oh man, uh, going to going through the closed qualifiers, looking at think it was Visionary versus In Control. We saw an amazing game coming out from them. Bone off of In Control was ridiculous, and uh, everyone on In Control, much like Pryde, they can all step up. When Bone got taken out on the second map of Clubhouse, we saw a 1v4 clutch coming out from the young gun. In the interview, he cited his performance to hitting that whip in Nene before doing that. So
Oh my
he's an
God.
absolute treasure. I really hope that we see more of them. All of these teams, you can't really count them out. I think that, though, a team like Pryde, coming down to more fragging, it's going to be a lot of the mental game. How are they keeping that mentality strong? How do they bounce back after tough rounds? Visacious was so consistent, and that leads me to the more strategic teams like Hostile Actions. When their fragging isn't on point, when their mentality isn't there, they'll still have that strategy to fall back on, and that's what we saw 303 rely on a lot, and that's what carried them through a lot of rounds. So I think it'll come down to really who sets the tempo, who seizes control of the map. and whether we'll see that same feast or famine mentality from a fragging team, or whether they'll have sufficient strategies to really rely on and carry them through when their guns aren't lighting up as much as they would like.
Awesome, Al. Thanks so much. I mean, we've got a whole lot of expectations, and I know our fans are very excited to get into this as well. We do have just a little bit longer to wait, unfortunately, just because we have a player that is going to be running a little bit behind, but we are going to be here to entertain you guys a little bit. But speaking of entertaining, Wet Nude, you and I are rocking the Hawaiian tonight, but Al, oh my lord, man, where's your Hawaiian shirt? I just got to ask. You were wearing the TSM hoodie, I think, earlier, which is still some pretty awesome drip. But my man, Hawaiian.
I think I have a Hawaiian. I can check. Because I gotta get in that festive attitude. I didn't get the memo. Someone left me out of this VM, so I'll try and see.
I think it was just sort of like intra-mind communication or like telepathic stuff, because honestly, we all got on before this game. We started putting our camera feeds onto the production desk for Ferme and Galaxis, and all of a sudden, all of us are just literally wearing Hawaiian shirts. So it's beautiful, the team mentality that we've got going on here. But oh man, speaking of team mentality though, take a look at these predictions. They are outrageously one-sided right now. And honestly, I looking back, I don't really know if this is really going to hold up, just because both these teams are so evenly matched. So potentially it should be a little bit more 50-50 than this, but at the same time, obviously everybody on staff is leaning a particular kind of way here. So, but as you can tell, some of our predictions just do not come true. I mean, look at what happened in Wichita. Oh man, so fun times there. But Wet Nude and Al, I mean, I know we'd sort of talked about it, but if you had to throw your hat in the ring here, do you think it's going to be more 50-50 with the predictions, or do you think these are going to hold up?
Personally speaking, I can understand the Pryde votes there, just based off the fact that HC is known in the community, whereas Hostile Actions for some people might be kind of coming out of the woodwork a little bit here. But I think this game could go 50-50. I really think each team might just end up taking a map of their own. And I think it could just come down to who can finish their map in regular time to get those full 3 points. But, I definitely think it's going to be a barn burner. I do not think we're going to see anything short of all 12 rounds are OT.
Oh, sure. It will be greatness incarnate today. I will have to say, I know we're going to get some nutty clips. Y'all are going to be able to make some montages, some highlight reels out of this. So, Steam and Digital, a couple of our video editors are going to be having a lot of work after this one for sure. So, it's going to be a fun one, and I'm excited to get into it here. So let's see. All right. So I've got a question for you guys, actually. Right now with Rainbow Six, we're seeing a focus on introducing these new and wacky operators with some really interesting gadgets that are sort of technologically advanced. And along the same line, we've seen a couple potential leaks, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know if they're confirmed or not, but the Defender for this coming season is actually kind of weird. She's got I believe like a cybernetic arm or something like that can bust through walls, similar to Oryx, without taking any HP damage. So that's the first part. No HP damage to the operator, and she's a defender, mind you. She also has a gadget that is similar to a Capcan trap, but you put it on windows or doors. It cannot be destroyed, and I believe that it impairs like 3-speed operators and potentially damages them as well. So is that OP? Like, I feel like that's just a little bit too crazy, and I don't know if that's wrong or if that's not true.
I think we see a bit of overreaction to new operators. A lot of people, as soon as Tachanka was kind of announced, everyone was clamoring on, he's OP, he's OP, he's OP. And then you really look down at things and you break it down into the nitty gritty, and you see, okay, the launcher is decent. It has solid abilities, but comparing it to a smoke, it's not exactly a direct replacement. And you saw a lot of players find this overreaction, and while we do tend to trust our pro players, they haven't played it at the end of the day. Neither have we. It's pretty much just speculation, and I think that waiting to see how it performs on the test server, and more importantly, how do we see it impact scrims, that'll be a great metric. And with the pretty frankly, a pretty great system of quarantining operators for a season before they're introduced into comp. I think we get to see this great testing period of how it affects the meta, allowing Ubisoft to tune it down a bit. That being said, I really like how teams are starting to adapt. We've seen other regions, while they may be a bit of meme strategies, they've been going to the smoke plant system. We saw a bit of the debacle in APAC North,
Oh, yeah.
which I won't get into. But I'm excited if we see some glass smoke plants because I love the Spetsnaz operators. They have a special place in my cheeky breaky heart. And I'll be excited to see that because it'll be a great change in tempo. And I think that seeing those pocket pick strategies like that first floor on Clubhouse, it forces teams to really adapt and figure out how to find holes in the new strategy, which with many pocket pick strategies like first floor on Club, there are a ton of holes in it. But it's really fun to see. And I would be very excited if we got to see any of that coming out in our series today.
Yeah,
sorry, Nude. Go.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, I kind of agree. The Spetsnaz ops felt like they all kind of fell into like a dark corner. Like Fuse was never picked. Glaz after the nerf was pretty much out of anybody's play style. You had Tachanka, that was already a meme pick, and then you had Capcan, who was kind of like a joke pick in T3 to stop maybe some of the more rush heavy teams. But besides that, they were never actually like competitively viable. But now you're seeing Glaz is coming back into the meta. Fuse with his 4 charges. You've seen him on Consulate bottom floor, or when Consulate basement defenses. You've seen Fuse being brought as a 6 pick. And you're seeing like Tachanka has the possibility of becoming an actual viable operator. And Capcan with the 1.5 is actually not such a bad shout anymore with the C4. And I think he still has impacts as well.
He does.
So Capcan, it just seems like they're like, you know what? We kind of screwed over the Russian boys here. Let's bring them back a little bit. And I'm intrigued to see how well it goes. People kind of complained about the Glaz meta coming back, but Fnatic did lose their game trying to bring that Glaz meta into play. So it's not to say that the Glaz meta is all back and broken, because it's not 100% working already, as we've seen in APAC.
Yeah, I think that's a good take, honestly, because we see the utility burn meta is still very much a thing, and honestly, smoke grenades can get very easily countered. You know, I mean, with Wamai and Jaeger still on the board, I think you have to honestly get rid of one of them if you want to effectively run that type of strategy of either smoke planting or glass stratting, something like that. But another viable thing is potentially with Warden now as well. Now that they're trying to bring Glaz back into the meta somewhat, that Warden might be getting picked a lot higher, because he's really the only operator that can realistically contest with a Glaz. I mean, he's got the 1.5 scope, he's got the ability to see through the smoke, and I think he has a lot of potential viability in these upcoming seasons. So, but Al, I think I did cut you off there. What were you going to say, my friend? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that the glass smoke plant meta, it does lend itself to a lot more frag heavy teams. We saw, I think it was in the French National League, BDS just steamroll people with that strategy. You do have to take it with a mountain of salt, because it is BDS versus tier 2 teams. And I think it was Renshiro who was using Glaz. Renshiro on DMRs is just not, that's not okay. That's not good to subject your opponents to. And I just think it's cruel. But that being said, a team like Pryde using a more tempo-oriented setup, like the Glass Smoke Plant, that allows them to really just step up the tempo, find that aggression in a very strategic-based method, I think that would benefit them a lot, and I think it would be really cool to see. That being said, we do see strategies take quite some time to make their way from Tier 1 down to Tier 2 and then down to Tier 3. As teams don't have as much time to strategize, they don't have necessarily the same infrastructure as coaching and analytics. So I think we'll see some of that seep in, but I think it'll take, unfortunately, it'll take a bit of time before it really reaches the level that we're at right now.
Yeah, awesome, Al. That's another important thing, is just the fact that Pro League is such a huge influencer for a lot of like T2 and T3 competition. But it looks like we are ready to go and get into our first map of the night. It's going to be Oregon Al. Wet Nude, enjoy yourselves. I'll see you back after map number 1.
Sounds good. I'm extremely excited for this one. Going to Oregon first off, I mean, like you said, I think this is the second most played map so far. I think it might be close with Cafe, but we have seen a lot of Oregon here in week number 1. And personally, I really kind of love this map. I like the bunker holds. I like seeing the different bans that can come out and the different ways people try to aggressively play with electrical open or closed for downstairs, for instance. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've got my notes here, but I really don't need them to tell you that Thatcher and Capitao are very strong bans. We've seen Maverick popping up a lot more. He is the second most common attacking ban, but moving on to the defense is where we really see some of this variation. I think you're pretty foolish if you don't ban out Wamai. He adds so much to the utility soak meta, allowing you to keep up the Goyo shields if you do want to run them on that basement and that second floor. It's just oppressive. And Mira, this is T3. She's never going to be played. That being said, it leaves a lot of very interesting strategies up on the board. No Thatcher means that you're going to be able to use Cades a lot more effectively. And with a lot of teams shying away from Mavericks and not practicing them due to their prevalence in ban phase, they're going to have to weigh the options of bringing him. And as we see a site that really relies on hatches, I think that's a great uh, move from the attackers to bring out that Maverick. Clash is another operator that I think that will be really cool to see. If you can play her effectively on the basement as well as really any site on this map, you can be incredibly oppressive on the defense, and not many teams are prepared to deal with that operator.
Yeah, I mean, a good clash on defense is like a good Monty on attack. There's so much information. It's so frustrating to try and clear. Like, it really does bring an extra layer of pain to the attackers with a good clash player that can just slow down that tempoed pace. With that being said, this is definitely very interesting to come out of meeting right out the gate. The awesome thing about Oregon, that I think a reason a lot of teams like it so much, is because all 4 bomb sites are pretty much viable. Although you can make the argument that the meeting and the dining holds are a little bit less successful, they're still very well capable of being run. So, and we're seeing that here with the fact that it's coming out first up. We're talked about the Cade, they're bringing the Cade. So it looks like this is normally probably going to be a top 4 hold, but oh, this might just be a rush in if we're going to see this here.
Yeah, Pryde, a very aggressive team. Sorry, catching the Maestro off guard, but he is able to make it back. Not quite unscathed, but they'll be able to keep their men alive. It's going to be crucial for the side of Pryde to take control of Attic as well as control elsewhere. However, they're just running in. They've already got the diffuser down, and that is ridiculous that they've been able to just steamroll control of this map.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're just seeing bodies drop. Pryde's going to find a 2K. Limbo trying to bring it back. And we are going to see a revive onto the Maestro in a 3v3, but the health advantage horribly in favor of Pryde. And, oh, he's going to swing around. He's going to be able to get the Maverick. And does he have an opportunity to get the Nomad? It doesn't look like it, but somebody else will pick up the kill. A triple. Pryde's got to stop the defuse, and he will. It's a 1v1 and a quad. Is he going to be able to pick up the ace? And he is! And in round number 1, Oni is going to come out with the ace on a rush plant into meeting.
My brain is struggling to comprehend what just happened. Pryde, they went full send. And that's something that we saw yesterday. It doesn't matter if your roamers are like in great positions. If your opponents go full send and you can't get the rotations to effectively deal with it, the attackers are just going to be able to get the plant. That being said, hostile actions, they reacted very well. And while they did get put on the back foot very early on, they got themselves into a great position to deal with it. And they were so close. They had a 1v3 for a very brief second. That should not have gone the way of Oni, but it just goes to show Pryde. Every single one of these players can step up. You see the players that didn't well, all the players other than Oni who didn't have frag, they all did significant damage. Dylan and Rizzer both on 2 assist seats. Samuel as well on the Ashe. Snow's providing a very crucial role. I believe he was the one, him or Rizzer was the one who got the plant down. And you can see, based off of that round as well as the community vote, it is very narrow margins. We saw the vote go, I think it was 12 to like 80, 88 last time. It's super close, and I think that you can see that in this match. It is going to be an absolute barn burner. This is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Sako said it best. There's going to be some clips from this one. And I mean, I didn't expect it to start in round number 1, but already an ace. And is that the first one of this? I'm not sure. That might be the first ace for SCS so far. But like you said, they pushed in and multiple people started tagging up everyone. It was almost a really good retake from Hostile Actions. But Oni just came alive and would not give it down. But he's going to find, Jaeger's going to find himself taken out of the map early on. A beautiful shot from Samuel. And he says, you know what, Oni, I want a little piece of this kill in action.
Yeah, Pryde saying, you know what, it doesn't matter how good your strategies are, we can click heads. And nothing to discount them. They have some great setups. They're not just blindly walking into their opponents. They're able to bypass those smokes. Samuel now in a very aggressive position. The attackers might not realize that he's aggressed this far up, but the defense on this basement is a lot stronger. I do agree with you. These tertiary sites on the first floor are a lot weaker, but Pryde, they're just going full send. Samuel going in, finding the kill through the smoke. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, holy crap. They literally are just walking through. Oni is not going to have an opportunity to add to his kill tally thanks to Just Dom, but the Maestro goes down, and Freezer and Rizzer with another one, and it just falls apart out of nowhere. A 3v4 quickly turned into a 4v none, and I mean, it's just the pressure being brought right now by Pryde is absolutely crushing. This is the exact same way I felt when I played them. They just swing you with coordination, and you see the smoke come out, and I don't think Smoke saw the Ashe push in earlier, which is why he threw that smoke so deep. And I mean, just, God, the guns are alive right now for Pryde.
This is an element that I like to bring over from North American Counter-Strike and Valorant. A lot of people seem to think that a smoke is a wall. No one can go through it, right? It would be stupid. And then we see some enigmatic figures really push that envelope. Players like Stewie2K for CSGO, they just see a smoke and they run right through it and they challenge whoever's on the other side. If you're on the side of Hostile Actions, you have to really worry about that. If you see a smoke down, you have to watch it. If you watch it, you pretty much get a free frag. But in the case of, I believe that was Limbo, who was playing the SMG11 that last round, he wasn't watching it. And he got fragged for free through it, and Pryde was able to capitalize on the mistakes of their opponents. Bringing the Malusi is a really good first step. I think that will allow them to slow down their opponents a lot more. But once again, returning to this first floor, it'll be interesting to see how Pryde approach this the second time around. They're going for a different spawn. They maybe didn't expect them to return to this first floor. So I think that they'll need to really focus this time around now that they're not going as nearly as quick of a pace as they were the previous time around. They're going to have to focus on gaining control of Attic, forcing their opponents out of kids and dorm, and doing the top-down take that we typically see teams do on these tertiary sites.
Oh, and the C4 is going to go out, but it's not going to be able to net the full kill. Rizzer is downed, but not out. And as Zofia, like I was just about to say, he can just withstand. They don't even need to waste their time. Limbo full white is almost going to die, but Just Dom's got the crossfire, and he's going to be able to take down the Ashe early on.
Yeah. I mean, forced into a difficult position. We see them set up this tempo early on, but one of the issues that we see from these tempo-based teams is when they run into a bit of an issue, they tend to hit a bit of a brick wall, and Pryde now faced with a very solid defense, now prepared for the rush attempts. They're in a great position. They're able to deal with it. A lot of damage dealt onto the remaining players. Hostile Actions are in a very good position, and they look like they've recognized that rush attempt from Pryde, and they are in a great place to deal with it. And Pryde, they're just starting to make more and more mistakes now.
Yeah, I have to say there's a kind of a default way to attack this, and I feel like they wasted way too much time getting this Maverick down here to get this wall open. And with that being said, the damage has kind of already been done. Yes, Limbo is on low health. Just Dom has gone down to about 50 HP, but you can say the same for Snows, and Riser is literally about one shot away from meeting his makers. So right now, this is a very good opportunity for Hostile Actions to go ahead and take this round, but it does seem like Pryde just hit a brick wall and Limbo's going to swing Snows, and that's going to be his second for the game. The flank coming out, and it's not going to be effective. The Cade is going to go down, but it's a 1v5 as Devils finds Riser and Attic, and at this point, this would take a miracle for him, but he's going to go collect his one. He got his frag, boys.
Yeah, Hostile Actions, they did a good job of recognizing the rush that came out from Pryde and putting themselves in a position to deal with it. Now, Dylan in a 1v4, a 1v5 earlier, he's never going to win this. As much as I have faith in them, Hostile Actions are a very good team. They have the crossfire set up. He's just going to take this tactical timeout to figure out what went wrong and how they need to approach this next round. Hostile Actions, I like their setup. Having them in a position to recognize how that rush came in, they set themselves up great. Now moving later into these rounds, Pryde are going to have to deal with the setup that Hostile Actions have. They're going to need to attack the roam earlier on. You can't make an execute on to meeting without control of attic. If you have control of attic, you can deny 90% of the plants, with the other plants being able to be denied from a crossfire from kitchen. Going back to basement, I think that Hostile Actions now have recognized the weaknesses in their defense. They'll be prepared for a rush style take from Pryde. And Pryde, they're going to have to figure out what went wrong. They're going to have to figure out how to approach this in a more default strategy that allows them to utilize their fragging potential, but they're not going to be able to over aggress like they have in the previous rounds, because Hostile Actions, they're now in a position to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it really just felt like Pryde stalled out. But did you know these two teams played last played each other during the closed qualifier of season 4, and Pryde then HC won 2-0. So these teams actually have played together, so they have an idea of how each other plays, because I don't think HC has probably changed their play style that heavily, which means that there's an opportunity that Hostile Actions could have came in here with a bit more knowledge, and that could have been what happened. Is they just got a little caught off guard again from the first 2 rounds, but now they've started to remember, okay, this is just how this team plays. We can counter this. And I mean, we saw it, like I was starting to say last round, it just seemed like once their initial kind of rush little play got stopped, they just stalled and weren't really sure what to do next.
Yeah. Hostile Actions, we saw this with 303 in the previous game. They played each other in the open qualifiers, with In Control taking the match a pretty dominant 7-3. Moving into their next game, In Control was able to take the first map of Oregon, but it looked like 303 had kind of figured their opponents out and they were able to shut them down. A bit of misplays from both teams, but it was a really close series that accentuated how these teams have developed from the closed and open qualifiers. And yes, we do have a bit of background on these two teams, but it has been a full 2 weeks. These teams have now been really able to set themselves up with their strategies, set themselves up with their teams, and now we can see Hostile Actions once again with 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining on the clock. They don't lose a single player. They still have control of the map. They have a really strong hold over towards bunker, and we see the top-down take coming out from Pryde, but they don't have horizontal control of basement like we typically see teams going for. And Hostile Actions, they have the crossfires, they have the map control, and they're in a really solid position to deal with anything Pryde throws at them in these final minutes of the round.
Yeah, I have to say they really don't have much map control. I mean, they have one hatch open after with a minute left, and I mean that's kind of a Hail Mary drop if you haven't cleared pillar or bunker. Samuel here on the Ash is trying to contest on main stairs, but from the looks of it, this looks like it's going to be a very heavy freezer push, and I think this is just going to come down to an all-out OK Corral gunfight because nothing's really been opened, and guns are just going to have to start coming alive for both teams. The smoke canister comes out, and that's going to make Samuel back off, but we see the heavy push down freezer coming.
Attackers recovered
Yeah,
the diffuser.
the heavy push down freezer is good, but it's a one-dimensional attack. We see it, teams really struggle with this. They're going to have to find a way to collapse on their opponents. Otherwise, they're just fish in a barrel. They're going to be gunned down by the Alda. They're going to be gunned down by these smokes. And as we can see, they find the initial frag, but they're going to struggle to find any sense of map control as the time ticks lower and lower down.
10 seconds to
Yeah, I mean, down to 10 seconds, and Axon's actually going to find a 3-piece right in that freezer. And I mean, that's just what we talk about. I mean, it's so tough to do those kinds of attacks just because it just doesn't feel like there's that little extra cutoff. Someone's got to go backstairs. Someone's got to flank if you're going to go for a freezer main stair push, because although, yes, there is a wall there that leads directly into sight, it almost feels the same as trying to funnel through a doorway. It is very, very oppressive for an attacking team to just push down that long freezer hall and just find the frags necessary without over peaking from the defense. And from Hostile Actions, we just didn't see that. They peaked when they needed. Devils found a frag, or Limbo got the refrag on Samuel, and then from there it was all Axon just destroying them on that long freezer hall.
Yeah. Now,
Attackers need to
Hostile
locate and
Actions,
defuse
they
any
played that very
bombs.
well. I don't want to rip on Pryde too much, but one of the things that they could have done better moving into that round is they could have had someone playing through blue bunker to really threaten that position. You don't need someone to commit a ton of utility or a ton of health to make these engagements. You can just have them take a few pre-fires, make some noise over there. And what that forces your opponents to do is it forces them to allocate manpower to deal with that. We didn't see typically a mute or smoke, or if Wamai isn't banned, a Wamai playing behind the shield in
5
J
seconds
bunker.
to go.
And that allowed Hostile Actions to have more manpower on the side that the attack was taking place to deal with it. If you don't have that extra man there, as the attackers, you're going to have the effective man advantage when you go for those gunfights. You can trade out and go for the post plant much more easy. And I think that Pryde, they skipped a few steps. They ran into a bit of an issue, and that's something that we see from a lot of fragging teams. They don't exactly have that on-the-fly IGLing skill to really adapt to the situation that they're in, and that's something that Pryde are going to need to do as they move further into these rounds. Now we go to the second floor, and this is one of the primary sites that we see most teams take. It's a very
bomb has
strong
been located.
horizontal hold, and once again, we see Pryde slow down in the early game. They don't have very much map control. They're getting these roam clears out, but there's not much to clear. You see a pretty horizontal, pretty linear hold from the side of Hostile Actions, and while you may be able to clear out your opponents from the roams, you're going to really struggle to break this the Alamo of defense that your opponents have set up, and you're going to need a bit more time to take out the bulletproof gadgets and the deployable shields that they have enabled.
Yeah, but here we go. They're just going to jump in and try to take the bomb plant, but it's not going to work out as we see a C4 come out. It's going to be able to find one. Snows gets to refrag. Axon, though, takes out Pryde, and we're in a 2v4, but once again, Samuel has just rushed on in, but he's not going to be able to find a second, and in a 1v3, no way he's able to take this. Oh, man, and once again, just an attempt at a surprise rush plant, and it's not going to work as Zag's able to find his second. I mean, these are just very shoot in the dark, blind hope chances here. You're hoping that the defense is not paying attention. You're hoping there's no C4s or a smoke canister thrown in that direction because you're planting in a non-default spot. You're hoping for all these things, but they're not coming through. And Hostile Actions finds 3 straight after going down 2-0, and it looks like they're starting to find their tempo, and this coordination is countering this heavy aggression from Pryde.
I think that Pryde, they would very much benefit for going for the glass smoke plant setup. It doesn't require you to take swaths of map control.
Defenders, protect your
The
bombs
team
from being
composition
defused
that
by
they're bringing out
attackers.
is fairly default. You have the double hard breacher. The ace is incredible at everything. He's a great blend between the thermite and the Hibana. You have the anti-hard breach denial of the Maverick. You have the explosive utility on the Ashe and Zofia, and you have a bit of that hard support, soft support of the Nomad that has a great fragging kit, has the flashbangs to deal with those ADSs, and has the air jab to deal with roamers.
10
That's a great
seconds to
default
insertion.
setup, but Pryde isn't playing default. They don't need that
5 seconds
exact
to
toolkit
insertion.
because they're not dealing with the Maestro cameras and the
Attackers must
Malusi
locate and
gadgets
defuse
or the
the bomb.
deployable shields. They're ignoring that and they're going full send. And I think that instead of really trying to force a default comp, they should adapt their strategy to their less default playstyle. And once again, we see this first floor setup coming out from Hostile Actions, and it's a setup that punishes people if they're not prepared to really deal with it. If you don't take control of kids in attic, you're done. You're never going to get the post plant done. You're never going to be able to plant unless you go for the full send push. And Hostile Actions now being able to deal with it, they're in a good position. They have map control, and Pryde, once again, they're going to have to step it up. But the fact that they're able to get this wall open now with 2 minute and 10 seconds remaining on the clock instead of a minute and 10 seconds does bode well. They look like they've made the adaptations, and now with time on their side, with map control starting to go in their favor, they'll be able to make this attack with a bit of time remaining for them to play with.
Yeah, this is something I really appreciated, but it's not going to matter as it looks like Snows might have went for an aggressive peak instead of just making that wall soft. And they're going to pay the price now. That is a huge wall that you need to get open if you are going to go for a straight meeting push. And the fact that they have not done that is going to possibly really hurt them. But we are going to see Samuel here. He's going to try and cause some issues elsewhere. But at the end of the day, nothing has come out of it yet. There's still a minute and 20 seconds. And this, once again, just kind of looks like a bit of a stall. I don't really know what they're going for. And at this point, it feels like it's going to be a funnel between meeting double and meeting single at the other end of the hall.
Yeah. This is one of the issues that we see if teams don't exploit the fact that they have control of attic. You have this similar angle like you have when you're playing a castle on the first floor of Clubhouse. You have that elevated angle, which is right at headshot angle for a player playing in meeting. That's just perfect to shoot out the Maverick in stage. We can see trades coming out, but Hostile Actions with the man advantage, they're always going to be beneficial coming out of these trades. 1-for-1s will benefit them. And we can see Pryde stepping up. They're finding these kills. That's what they need to do. But time is not on their side. They need to start stepping up and they need to start finding control. Otherwise, Hostile Actions with the late round flanks and the late round crossfires, they'll just be able to deny any hope of plan.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing it there. Somehow Samuel's just able to walk in the back end, but a well-placed C4 from Limbo is going to be able to catch one off guard, and a technically 2v1 now as one is to plant, but oh no, Samuel manages to find another. Oni's gonna add on to his tally. I believe Samuel and Oni finding all the frags there, and my God, I mean, that round looks so slow. It just looks so painful, but Oni finds the opener onto the attic player after Rizzer dies, and then from there it just falls apart. They just give away the picks. They're losing their ones, and Samuel and Oni and Pryde are going to take advantage of that all day. And a 3-3 split for Pryde is honestly very good currently with how Oregon is defender sided.
Yeah, I think that with the more rounds that we've seen, a 4-2 split, a 3-3 split is very common to see. And it really comes down to hostile actions. They got themselves in a great position. They had the better strategy, in my opinion. But if you don't win your ones, you're never going to win the rounds. That being said, we
Defenders
move
protect
on
your
to the
bombs
second
from
half and we
decommissioned by
see a
attackers.
Pryde, the team that is bringing out this clash. I really like it. But we haven't seen them play the best off of their strategies, and Clash is a very difficult operator to play. You sacrifice fragging potential for information, and if you can't play around that effectively, you're effectively wasting an operator pick. That being said, Riz are playing on the Ella, as well as Oni on the Jaeger. They're going to be very potent roamers, and they'll have a massive control of the map. Hostile
10
actions,
seconds
they'll
left
need
before
to
insertion.
find control of the map earlier on. They're going to need to
5 seconds left before
shut down the
insertion.
roams and get themselves in a position to deal with this clash.
Attackers objective is to
Otherwise, they're
locate a
going to
bomb and
just
defuse it.
run against this absolute monstrous fragging potential that Pryde has. And we saw last round, if you leave it down to time, there's always a chance that Pryde, regardless of the man disadvantage, regardless of the strategy disadvantage that they might be put in, they can just still win their gunfights.
Yeah, and this is the aggressiveness that we've seen. We've seen Wichita Wolves do something similar on Top Floor Cafe last season with Mayo playing that clash and people just swinging behind him like it's going out of style. And that's what we're going to see from Oni. He's feeling the hot hand, 8-4, and he's just saying, if you're going to give me some picks, I'm going to take it. And that's going to be accent off the board. And that's exactly the kind of play style that is going to feed into this team, which is why they opt to bring the clash, because like I said, it's like a defensive Monty and players can play behind it and just peek you at will.
Yeah, it's a human mirror, and I don't understand why, if you're Axon, why do you think that's a good idea to take that trade? It's not going to work out 9 times out of 10, and we see the 9 time out of 10 result just happened. And now hostile actions, they've now lost both of their explosive utility. They have not cleared out their roamers, and with 2-man disadvantage, with no way to deal with any of the Malusi gadgets or force the clash out of position at this point, I would have to say that this round is effectively over before it began. Pryde just found this controlled aggression. They didn't overstep their bounds like we saw in many of their failed rush attempts on the second floor, for example. And hostile actions, they stalled. They didn't know how to deal with this strategy that they don't typically see, and they didn't have the know-how to deal with it, and they ran into it, and it just demolished them.
Yeah, the accent could have waned there, but oh no, and Rizzer is going to find another one. Can he find a third? Oh, he's not going to be able to, but Oni downstairs manages to find your ace, but a beautiful trade on to Samuel. It's a 1v3, and Justam has not lost a lot of health. And with a clash on board, there's an opportunity that he could attempt to take these two one-on-ones and attempt at the very end to clear that clash with rushing at him. But I doubt he's going to be given those opportunities. He's just trying to go down and get bombed. But at this
We
point,
see
20
many
seconds left. Yeah, I don't see this going in his favor.
15
Yeah.
seconds to go.
A 3-man crossfire, it's pretty much over. Well, it is over. Hostile actions, they're a very
5 seconds
drilled
left.
team. I would have expected them to go for this roam clear early on, make sure that there's no one lurking
Operators, you are out
behind
of
them,
time.
and then work forward with the attack. Instead, they went for their standard J bunker execute, and once they ran into a clash, they didn't know how to adapt. And they didn't adapt. They ran straight into it, and as you can see, Oni, he's feeling strong. He is feeling good, and he just took this gunfight, just clicking heads. And it's a great shot, a beautiful angle that he held, but one that is going to go his way 9 times out of 10. And hostile actions, they're a very good team. We didn't see them overstep their bounds too often on the defensive half. It surprised me that they would take some of these really foolish engagements and it's something that they're going to have to really learn from as they move later into the half, with Pryde now taking the round advantage for the first time since, I believe, the 4th round of this map.
Yeah, they had it for the first 2 rounds, but Hostile Actions brought it back, went up 3-2, then obviously split 3-3, but now Pryde has taken back what they started with, and that is the round advantage. And I mean, that's going to hurt a little bit just because this is a defender-sided map. They begin to take the lead. They can pound on the pressure. If they can win upstairs, they go to middle floor, and all of a sudden, you might be looking down at the barrel of match point. Granted, we still have to get there. That is still 2 rounds away for the side of Pryde, but it's just that kind of mentality. Some people that don't understand, Siege is almost more mentality than anything else, and a run out from Oni is gonna pretty much net a kill, so to speak, when it comes to HP, as you have 100% of HP now between 2 different players. Axon taking the brute force of that damage, and that is not how you want to start a round off when you're trying to bring it back. But a little bit of damage is going to come back to Rizzer, as he is going to get tagged up a bit as well.
That really solidified in my mind the issues that we see Hostile Actions facing on the attack. They're not doing their due diligence. They're not making sure that they're not getting spawn peek. They're not watching their angles correctly, and it's really not going their way. They need to figure out how to deal with it, as we can see them start to gain control of the second floor. But it's coming at a massive price. Axon and Jestom taking a bunch of poke damage, Pryde able to slow down their initial push. And Hostile Action, they need to be more aware of their surroundings. They can't expect to get anything for free. As we can see, the frags coming out, the deployable shields are now being put down. They're getting map control, but Samuel now in a very one and done position. This is something that Hostile Actions haven't been clearing out as well as they should be, and it's something that they're going to need to improve on if they're going to have a chance to take many of these rounds in the future.
Yeah, the other problem is I think they're starting to, but I don't know if they've cleared meeting, and that's where Oni is playing. A lot of health comes out for Samuel, but he's going to get the down onto the Zofia, and he's going to get a little greedy here going for the finish, but he is going to get it, but be immediately refragged back. And I think we're seeing a flank come out from Oni, as I believe he's starting to push up the back stairs, but it doesn't really matter, as it looks like the push is kind of swapped over to a main stairs take. But no, as I say that, players rotating back, and I think they realize now that they do have added control.
Yeah, but this is coming so late into the round with so much cost. A 1-for-1 trade with time on the side of the defense is going to favor the defenders. You see, Snows, he has 3 of his smoke canisters remaining, and with 40 seconds remaining on the clock, he can throw them at ease, delay the entirety of that attic push until it's nearly too late. Rizzer playing in games, able to deny that prong of the attack. He will be traded out, but it is now a one-sided attack from the side of Hostile Actions. And while Pryde are now in a 2v3, they're in a very good position, and this Alda can be incredibly oppressive if you go for this late round execute.
Yeah, and they're going to start getting the plant down, but Devils gets down, and now it's just all up to a 1v1. And if he can swing, it's now down to a 1v2. Or no, 1v1, excuse me. I didn't see the other frag get picked up, and now it's just down to a 1v1 in post plant. Can Dylan do it? We've seen him kind of struggle, but he's come alive with his ult, and I think he knows. And he's gonna be able to get it on the final few bullets. The all 81 bullets singing clear, and just absolute, I mean, a whiff fest from both the Nomad and the Maestro. But at the end of the day, the 1v1 clutch comes out, and that is going to be a defuse for Maestro. That is just the benefit of having him, is you just have 81 bullets to pre-fire and swing away like your Scar asking, say hello to my little friend as you swing corners. And I mean, what a round.
Yeah, and absolutely a good play from Hostile Actions. They were in a very difficult position, and they kept their cool head. And despite being in a 4v3 man disadvantage, they were able to get themselves into technically a 1v3. They then pretty much through that. They did not have the crossfire because you saw the Maverick planting in a position. Once the Maestro swings to go for that frag, the trade frag should have been there. You have an angle playing from outside of games in the closet that you can find the angle onto that Maestro. That should have been it. That should have been round over. Great, you got your free frag, Maestro, but that's done for. And we can see these little micro plays that Hostile Actions are just not capitalizing on. For example, spotting out Samuel in Attic, he's in a very difficult position. He's stuck behind that little bit of railing, and he's trapped there. You have him droned out, and what you can do, you have Just Dom with another 2x scope. He can watch that long angle, and Axon can get off his drone, start to push up, concuss him, they swing together, and they get a free frag. Or at the very least, they trade 1-for-1. What ends up happening is that Axon retreats his drone, and Samuel gets to swing back to safety for free. Then he reaggresses, goes up Attic, and finds a free down onto Axon, which is traded out, guaranteed, by the Nomad. Granted, but that should not be happening. Hostile Actions, they need to be capitalizing on the mistakes of their opponents and not just letting them slip through their hands, and it's costing them rounds. They get themselves into great positions. They're doing good work early on, but it's not quite enough. They need to capitalize on their mistakes, and getting a free frag early on with a great aggressive play is just that.
Yeah, I mean, Limbo kind of taking a page out of their book themselves with that Ash just swinging in quick and fast, and going to be able to take off a pretty big player, and that's going to be Oni, who's sitting at the top of the food chain at 10-6. So that's actually a really great pickup, and it looks like they've all fallen off that floor, and they're just going to hold vertical angles, see if they can catch them off guard, trying to walk through a doorway. But you got to remember, vertical holes work both ways, and Axon's going to take out Rizzer next, and all of a sudden it's starting to work a little bit in favor here on that third bomb site, but an over-aggressive vertical peak in Snows is going to be able to take advantage of Axon. That's Sophia off the board.
Yeah, we see this first floor take once again, and Hostile Actions, they did a very good job. They took control of this second floor, and now that they have second floor, they can go for these post-plant positions. They have still the hard breach capability in Zag and Devils. They have the diffuser in their hands. They have time on their side. This is a very good start, and they're looking at clawing it back. They look like they've made their adaptations, and that's what we saw ultimately allow 303 to take their second map, is they recognized what they were doing wrong, and they figured out how to deal with it. We see these great plays coming out. They now have control of the map. They're getting themselves into position to deal with it, and with 45 seconds remaining on the clock, they're in a great position to take their first round of the second half.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing right now is it looks like one member is offside trying to hold a deep angle, and the flank, excuse me, that was attempted to come out is going to be quickly shot off. He's stuck there, but the C4 might connect. It's not going to do enough. Devils managed to find another, and it's a 1v4 versus Snows, who's stuck on the bottom floor. Zag's going to get a freebie plant, and this might just come down to time waste, but oh no, Limbo is going on the hunt.
Yeah, a 3v4, and with time not on the side of the defenders, they knew they had to make an aggressive play. Samuel going for that roam, not working out. That was the nail in the coffin. Now it's a 1v1. Snow's trying to get his final frag, but that will be taken by the M4 of Devils on the Maverick. And a great adaptation from Hostile Actions. They look like they've learned from their mistakes, and that is a marker of a great team. Pryde also learning how they need to play these mid rounds, figuring out that they can't just go hyper aggressive. Both teams look like they're well in position to take these gunfights and take these actions. And Hostile Actions, they're coming out on top, but it could go any team's way at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I want to say that might have been good drone work, knowing that there was one flanking and one on freezer stairs. Possibly they might have known that, but it did look like they had an idea that they had one player on site. They pushed that player, got the pick, And from there, it just came down to holding it off. And it was the Nomad kind of holding down both. I mean, he turned around, shot Samuel, who was trying to flank with the Malusi, and then he immediately switched right back to that vertical hole and started taking the shots to the mute. He didn't find the second kill, but it forced Snows to have to think of a different way to go. With that being said, this does feel like a more smart hostile action. They took their ones, they went hyper aggressive against a hyper aggressive team, and it paid off. Pryde didn't look prepared for Limbo to just be in there so fast, and they got that free first pick. Over aggressive peak from Pryde allows them to go up 3-5, and from there it's taking your time droning out the site, which they did effectively, and winning the final engagements to give you that opportunity to plant in a very good round from hostile actions.
Yeah. Pryde now returning to this basement. They have the very similar setup. Rizzer, though, going... sorry, I thought that was the shotgun for a very brief second with the side view of the gun. He is still on this Ella. We saw it find so much impact, and I think that Hostile Actions, with their better drone work in the previous rounds, they're now in a very good position to deal with it. They're now droning their opponents out. They're hot droning themselves in. They're getting control of the map, and they're forcing these roamers out of control. It's a good start, but we see the first floor on this map, sorry, the basement on this map, is very defensible. It's very hard to breach, and we still see Dylan and Oni playing together on that Clash and Jaeger. It'll be very difficult to unseat them from position, and something that Hostile Actions have not demonstrated so far in this match, and it'll be a key factor in staving off match point and tying this match 5-5.
Yeah, I gotta say, with the way they're trying to take this, it really feels like beating their head into a wall. Try going, I know their freezer attack didn't work, but it could be for a different reason, and I feel, or your own freezer attack didn't work, but I feel like them trying to take these one-on-ones is just not going to pay off, and that's going to be Limbo finding himself down to Rizzer. Samuel finds another, and the deaths are just being stacked on. They haven't drawn the top floor. It's not clear. There are roamers, and they have not been dealt with, and that's going to be a free 2 picks coming from the side of Pryde. And now it looks like Zofia with one drone in pocket. I mean, they're going to have to clear this guy in tower. But do they have the drones, the info? It looks like a good pinch is coming out. But where is the rest of Pryde?
Yeah, and even if you find this kill, you still only have a minute remaining on the clock. You haven't even made it onto the basement floor. Hostile Actions, they got a bit ahead of themselves. They didn't do their due diligence, and Pryde is just punishing them for it. Axon finds a free frag onto Rizzer, but it's a consolation prize at this point. Jestom finding more kills onto the roamers, but it is just the roamers. They don't have control of this basement side, and now with no hard breach, no ability to open up these hatches now, it's going to be a funneled take through a single doorway. And Hostile Actions, while they have shown some prowess in terms of the fragging potential, it's going to be a nightmare for them to take, and Pryde, they'll just be able to sit behind the Clash Shield and find these 3-2 frags.
Yeah, 8 seconds coming down. The clock is winding. The crossfire is there. Jaeger's going to swing wide, but he's not going to be able to get it. But I think time is just going to run out for Snows, as he's able to find the bomb planter, trying to push in from main stairs, dealing with that Clash. Nomad in a very bad situation, but that almost backfired on Pryde, as they were just so over aggressive. I mean, you saw Rizzer peek unnecessarily. Samuel gets picked off rip. Oni can't win his engagement and swings wide. And if Axon just turns right, if he just turns right there, he is going to find the smoke. And we very well could be looking at a 2v1 with a plant going down and a Clash having to try and do a bikini body 360 to stop it. Oh, it's just, if the information just not there, and if he had just turned right, he could have been the difference between them clutching up that very impressive 2v4.
Yeah. Hostile Actions, even in these late round scenarios when it looks like everything is counted out, they don't lose their wits. On the converse, Pryde, when they have a massive man advantage going into these late rounds, they don't make the smartest plays, and we saw that this previous round. They had a 5v3, and they went for some very aggressive plays. They cut it down to very briefly a 5v2, and then Rizzer and I believe it was Samuel, or Dylan, pretty much inted on on the second floor and the first floor by going for aggressive plays. If they hold back hostile actions, the time is not on their side. You have an extra defender in time to deal with. That being said, it's now moving on to the second floor, and a site that we saw hostile actions initially struggle to take, and then push themselves just barely over the edge. It looked like a good round, and I think that if they once again can deal with the roamers, do their due diligence, clear out these players that they trap in uncomfortable scenarios, they'll be able to take the round. However, if they let the same thing happen over and over again, let these players that they have trapped in difficult positions just slip out of their hands by not converging on them, not setting up their crossfires, then Pryde is looking to be in a very good position to take this first map in regulation time.
Oh, and you see the over aggressiveness, and he's going to be able to almost take out the Maverick, but it's just not enough. The other thing that I want to see if they do get in this position where they got in last time is the Mavericks got to play the cross angles a bit better. He could have played on the doorway and gotten the pick onto the Maestro as he swung, but instead he tried to run away. But it doesn't look like it's going to matter. It's just all falling apart. Oni finds one. That's going to put him up to 11, and your Ace and your Zofia are down. Samuel's getting aggressive as well. It's not Snows, but the missed shots from Devils, and this is just getting out of hand. They do manage to find one pick back. It's a 4v2 with just Dom finding that one, having a pretty good game, but it's not going to matter if they can't win out this round.
Yeah, hostile actions. They're now pushed so far back in map control that just Dom isn't even able to get in towards the map. He's not even in the building. Limbo on the other side, it's a very crucial flank play, but it's a crucial flank play if your other side of the map is able to get control of Attic. Hostile actions isn't. That being said, Pryde, once again, they do their very classic strategy when they're very much ahead on rounds on man advantage, and they send one person to pretty much int on the external side, which gives hostile actions a fighting chance, but it is a very slim chance now that they're in a 2v3. Now that utility is on the side of their opponents, they do have this crossfire now enabled, but 20 seconds remaining on the clock, positions in the favor of Pryde. Now just Dom spotted out by the Malusi. This is pretty much over.
Oh, but Oni is going to be able to find one, but ignoring the Malusi behind. 7 seconds left. He's got to find two. He's going to not... Oh, he's going to trade with Dylan, but that means it's going to be Pryde's win, and they're going to get the full 3 points from this first game. And what a game it was with clips, almost clutches. I mean, an absolutely amazing game. And I mean, we almost saw the full 12. They just needed one more round, but Pryde very good on that first map.
Yeah, they looked like the dominant team, and we can see by the scoreboard, 2 players on double digits. Absolutely ridiculous. Welcome back, Sako. What do
hello.
you think about that absolute, just amazing match?
Well, I've got a lot of stuff to say about it. I'll save some of it for when the analysts get in, but I've just got to say I think Pryde really played well in the beginning and both the beginning and the final sections of the match. I think hostile actions, they tried adapting and it worked out for a little while for them. You know, they were picking up a couple rounds, but in the end, I think Pryde was just the better team on Oregon. Potentially that's just because Oregon is a little bit more defender sided and they just got that, you know, split at the beginning of the 3-3. But we'll sort of talk about it a little bit more with the analysts, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. There were some nutty plays, especially that ace all the way back in round number 1. What a quick take, my lord. What were you guys thinking about that? I know that you guys were in the heat of the moment, but now that you're looking back and sort of reflecting on it, how do you think about it?
I mean, it was just, I mean, you said there was going to be clips, and I said this in it. I just didn't expect it to be in round number 1 of all things. I mean, Oni just showed up big there, and that was just kind of the beginning of his reign of terror on this Oregon map.
Yeah. For fragging teams, setting the tempo is a very key aspect, and they listened to what we had to say. They listened to y'all in chat, and they set the tempo of this match. One of the great things though, setting up this recent season, we've enabled the BTTV emotes.
We have.
So as we transition into the analyst desk, I want to see you guys spamming those people thinks in chat as we see our amazing analyst break down our match with Sako.
Awesome, Al. Thank you so much, you guys. We'll see you back in a moment. Hello, my analyst friends. Artie, welcome to SCS, my friend. You've got the sunglasses that I think every person should go out and buy.
Hello, thank you. Thank you.
I love that, man. I wasn't expecting it. I know I saw you earlier, but my lord. And we got the Hawaiian shirt gang back out again for a second time. Now, Al, you've got some serious proponents here for you. So, hopefully you can get that Hawaiian shirt on in between your moments. But what a game, guys. 7-4 in favor of Pryde. We had some amazing moments that we just talked about for a slight bit there with our casters, but I'm going to take a quick moment. I'll ask you guys a couple questions here. First one is going to be those first 2 rounds, the quick takes that we saw coming out there from Pryde. My lord, something special that team displayed there. So, Pond, Artie, which one of you guys wants to tackle that about this team?
That was honestly just crazy, especially just seeing that very first round to just open it up. I was not expecting that kind of energy right out of the gate, because we just had the plant down in less than 30 seconds, and then just immediately followed by an ace by Oni, and that was just honestly just it woke me up after just starting off like, okay, yeah, cool, it's gonna be a nice chill stream, and then just plant ace. What just occurred? That was honestly just a great way to set the tempo for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with you there. It was a way to come out the gate and say, okay, we're just gonna decide to, hey, plant, get it down. Don't even worry about the post plant setup. I mean, Oni came out of there, and that was something that, like, I mean, in our chat, I even said this. I was like, they're not even set up for the post plant right now. They just rushed in, planted, and that's the strategy. And like Oni's heroics really won that out, but that's the play style that Pryde really brought into this game. And the rounds that they were as aggressive as they were, like the first round, they won it out. The rounds that they were a little bit more hesitant, I believe it was round 2 that they kind of stagnated out. And they weren't as aggressive. They weren't pushing forward. They don't do very well not moving, not shooting. They don't do well setting up that attack. They do really well with those face checks, really well setting up their executes and moving forward.
Yeah, very much agreed with the both of you guys. That was going to be one of my other points that I saw, was that at the tail end of round number 2 and going into rounds like 3 through 5, definitely Pryde sort of slowed their game down a little bit, and that's exactly what led to a couple round wins for Hostile Actions in that first half. But then they started bringing it back again and won a lot of rounds yet again going into the tail end of that game. So one other point that I'll ask real quick, Pon, for you, since the first one went to Artie, is Hostile Actions. From what I saw in that game, they're a really patient team. They play their defenses very, very well. Their attacks were a little bit more, I would say, stalled, but their defenses in particular are very, very strong. Even though Pryde did counter a couple of those just by sheer aggression, I think that if they played, a more mild team, that it might work out. But at the same time, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, yeah, one of the things I got to say about Hostile Actions is they are very round 8 was the round that I had picked because I think it highlighted this actually the best. Was they are a team that spends so much time on their setups that it's like the way it looks from my point of view is that they have almost like a set strategy in place, and that's it. And then when they have to make the audibles, like they were trying to push Attic here and then make the rotate around to push Armory and to push game side. If they didn't have those if the strategies didn't work out, it almost looked like they looked a little bit lost on attack, and they were waiting for the gunfights to come to them. And even though that does work very well on defense, and they do have to deal with Rizzer when they're on attack, because Rizzer absolutely cracked. I know that 3-6 is that 3-6 stat line he had this round is not as impressive, but we saw Rizzer holding big tower, and the way that Rizzer holds angles, I think it makes teams a little bit more scared to push different angles. It makes people more scared to push different positions, and he will punish you if you do push him and you don't win out the gunfights. But they stagnated out a lot on attack, and I think they do need to get a little bit aggressive, and they have to understand where they have the control, and they have to be able to push there.
Absolutely. And to talk about Rizzer a little bit more, especially what you were saying, the way that he holds, the way he punishes, they hostile actions definitely learned that by the end of the game, especially round 10 when we just saw Rizzer basically holding on the staircase for what felt like an eternity, but he completely canceled an attack from that entire half of the map. And by the time that it got to the point to where, hostile action was like, okay, we got to deal with this guy. He's just sitting here. And then they had to send somebody, Axon, I believe, just to like sit there and watch the staircase and wait for Rizzer to come back down. And it just took so much time up, and Rizzer just knew exactly what he was doing with all that.
Yeah, awesome, guys. I appreciate all the input on my questions, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you guys for a moment and let you guys sort of talk about what your impressions were, because you guys just talked about mine, but I want to see what's going on in those minds, you know what I'm saying? So go ahead and kick it off, you guys.
Just gotta say, like, hostile actions, I think that everyone, after watching that game, they know exactly who those players like to play on the attack side of things, because for 5 straight rounds, we saw the exact same attacking setup. Um, I mean, Fawn, what are your thoughts about that? Just not changing at all.
I mean, it was both teams do this, and this is something that you see a lot on Oregon. And Oregon is one of those maps where you'll see a lot of people bring. You bring the utility clears, you bring that Zofia, you bring that Ash to clear out any utility, because especially without Malusi ban, you have to deal with the Malusis, you have to deal with the Jaegers, you don't have to deal with the Wamais, so it's like that's 7 pieces of utility you don't have to deal with. But even then, like Oregon is the map that highlights that utility clear simulator. You have to bring a hard breach, so you'd want to bring the ace on that. I'd say ace is a little bit better than thermite on this map, just because of blue bunker, because you don't have to worry about having to rotate that thermite in there. If you clear the utility off the wall into electrical, you can get that very quickly. I personally like bringing him. Then you have to worry about hatches or worry about having a secondary hard breach. That's why we see a lot of Maverick being played, or Thermite or Habana. And then you have a little bit of flexibility in the air, but because there's so many different rotates that come in, you bring the Nomads. So even though they're bringing a very static lineup, the static lineup I don't think is necessarily bad for Oregon, because every single bomb site is going to require at least the combination of all the 5.
Absolutely. It's kind of a tried and true method.
Yeah, guys, I definitely appreciate all the input again. And I think an important thing that you guys brought up with the static lineup is we were just looking back at Oregon, obviously, but looking forward to Clubhouse, I think that there's a lot of static lineup potential there as well, especially on the attack. We have so many hard breachers that need to be brought for Clubhouse compared to other maps. And then obviously the secondary breachers like Zofia, Ash, things like that, they are also very static choices, especially on that attack side. We'll see a little bit of that coming up, but we have, I believe, just a little bit more time here with you guys. So just real quick, one of you guys want to answer, what do you think both of these teams need to change going into Clubhouse, just real quick?
Well, I think that Rizzer has just got to keep up with that, that insane energy
Oh, you know what?
that he
Actually,
has.
I'm sorry to cut you guys off, guys. It looks like the game has already started there. So so sorry there, but we're
Wonderful.
going to transition back over to the casters.
See you on the other side.
All right, Al, we are just getting right into it here. Going to Clubhouse, I mean, like they said, I think we're going to see more static lineups, and I think the bans are really going to dictate what we see here and what lineups we might see. Al, I think you're muted, buddy.
There we go. Like we were saying, Thatcher and Capital, very common bans. I'm not surprised, to say the least. Maverick is an operator that is very strong, especially with the new explorations of the Mavkin trick. You can only use a single canister and break open an entire wall, which is ridiculous. It allows you to open up potentially 6 if you're good enough. Usually that goes down to around 4. On the defense, Mira, it's T3. She's never going to be played, and Wamai is very oppressive. I like those bans. And as we move into this match, I think that it's going to open up a lot of tempo plays for the attackers. Pryde are going to not have to deal with the utility soak that Hostile Actions would very much like to bring with the Wamai, and it allow them to run a lot quicker paced attacks. That being said, it'll rely a lot on execution. Are Hostile Actions prepared for this match? We saw in the 303 versus In Control. 303, they took a very close defeat on the first match, and they came swinging in Clubhouse, and they pretty handily defeated their opponents. They looked much more solid on the defense. They recognized the strategies that their opponents were bringing, and they put themselves in a great position to deal with it. Pryde, they've showed their playbook a bit. They've played their hand in terms of the aggression, and now Hostile Actions, they have the ability to deal with it, and it'll be exciting to see what they'll be able to do. Or will it be another repeat of the last game, and will Pryde just run rampant with these frags and Oni going on a tear, going double digits and finding an ace?
Yeah, I have to say, if I were Hostile Action, and maybe it's just something they don't like dealing with, I would have went for the Maverick ban, although I think it was Devils was not a bad Maverick player. It just felt like Snows was able to do a bit more with it, and I feel like I would have much rather went for a Thatcher being left on board than the Maverick, as it just causes a lot of extra problems. But with that being said, the exact same ban lineup, just the defensive bans coming from different people. I believe last time they each banned the other defensive operator between the two, but all 3 hard breaches are going to be brought on the side of Pryde, and yeah, they're playing no games. If they want to open up a wall, they've got all the means to do it.
Yeah. I'm a bit surprised, to say the least, about Hostile Actions being the one to ban out the Wamai. I think that they would be the team more equipped to deal with it, other than Pryde. I think Pryde would run into a lot of issues with deployable shields being pretty much invulnerable into the late round with how much utility soak their opponents have. That being said, Pryde, they're a very tempo-based team, and they're able to open up the CCTV wall very early on. That does bode well, but they will need to make this 2-pronged attack. A single prong of the attack is not going to be enough, and as we see Hostile Actions, they're not sitting on their laurels too much either. They're aggressing on these roams and forcing Pryde to take some unfortunate engagements, and I think that that is a fairly even trade. Passive utility for active utility, although the sledge, other than those frag grenades, isn't going to have as much of an impact on the second floor.
I'm not gonna lie, Oni, I think I need to see some Moss files. That was a nutty wall bang, but maybe no need to lose that operator. On Rizzer, I'm not sure if they had droned it out properly, if he just kind of thought it was clear. But the flank's gonna come out from Axe, and he's gonna be able to find one, and that's gonna be Oni down. So one of your hard breachers out of the way. They haven't addressed this roamer yet, but it does look like one's holding off his angle out, and Sam is gonna try to push him head on. But it's HP for HP, and the Carbine versus Carbine, but it does look like Axe is just going to have to play his life and hope he can find one, and he actually does. But I think it's a trade. Oh, the laser point on the pistol is going to be able to find the frag.
Yeah, that's a great trade to get if it's maybe a minute into the round. That being said, they got the frag at around 50 seconds remaining. And during that action, Hostile Actions was able to capitalize on that and find a down in the meantime. It executed as well. Now the down being found by Pryde, but it is 20 seconds remaining on the clock. Hostile Actions have the time on their side, and they'll be able to exploit that. It is now just left onto the Maverick to clutch this out in the 1v3.
And it's not going to happen, as a butchered smoke canister is going to allow for Maverick to just run in. But as we all know, when shift Wing, you cannot ADS at a high speed, and Zag's just prepared for the rush in, as they know it's all that is left to happen. It really felt like they were able, that early pick, although immediately traded off around like within a few seconds, it did look like it really slowed down this Pryde attack. Obviously, we saw the rush last game on round number 1, but right there, it looked like they kind of slowed down the pace of themselves, and it looked like it might have just kind of bit them in the butt, as it just looked like they gave up free picks. We saw action on the flank, so something went wrong with drones. And then on top of that, you're not able to just get a clean trade back, and you end up losing another body yourself. And that is just going to hurt your team horribly.
Yeah. I don't know what the prone peak was from Samuel. Have to say I don't think that was the best idea, especially with Axon being tagged so low. A pre-fire onto any part of his body would have killed him. Frankly, even a wallbang if he was able to manage it. That being said, we can see the community vote once again, 57 to 43, very close, and either team could really take it as it comes down to the wire. Pryde being an aggressive team, they do have tempo on their side, but it does cost them in certain aspects. They weren't doing their due diligence with the roam. They weren't aggressing with those drones and players in tandem. They were playing over aggressive, and that does leave holes in the fog of war. They're not clearing everything, and it leaves little angles for the roamers of hostile actions to play through. That being said, we will return to another second floor site. We'll see another second floor extension coming out from hostile actions, and Pryde should be able to recognize their opponent's strategy. We see the drones coming out. Devils finding the kills onto both of them does weaken the drone economy from their opponents, but that should be information as to the whereabouts of 2 of the players. They should recognize it, and they should allocate players towards it. However, 2 minutes remaining on the clock, and they still haven't dealt with it. This could be a spellings of a greater issue in the strategy of Pryde.
Yeah, I have to say, the one thing I have noticed from hostile actions, they really like going to those tertiaries before they've won the 2 primaries. And I think on the side of Oregon, it didn't really work out well, but we do find an immediate trades back. But Samuel is going to add on to the death counter and find the Jaeger, but the Goyo's gone running, and I think Snows he's fallen off the edge. I think he's gone down from fall damage, and that's not what you want to see. We're going to see if someone allocates to go pick them up, and if they don't, though, they are now in a free 3v3, but it does look like Dylan is going to go get that pickup.
Yeah, but that does cost time as well. Samuel getting tagged down as well. Hostile actions, they don't go down without a fight, and Devil on the flank will be able to find the kill with the Nitro Cell. Now into a 3-on-3 in hostile actions with time on their side, with map control on their side. They should be in a good position, but Pryde, you can never count them out. They're always able to find these frags, and Snows, despite being on very low health, is able to win out the gunfight with Devils in a very close battle. A single shot, and that would have taken out the Maverick as he had downed himself from a bit of a clumsy play on the rappel. But time is still running down. Hostile actions, they still have the fort to hold on to. They still have that crucial bit of map control. And while you may have the man advantage, there is a 6th defender, and that is time. And running against an Alda with very little time remaining on the clock, that is not a position that I would envy for the side of Pryde.
Yeah, and I don't think the Mutes recognize that drone right in front of him, and that could lead down to some issues. But the grenade's going to come out. It's not going to be able to find the target. He does have a Goyo shield to give him a little bit more of an aggressive play, but as I say that's going to get taken off of the board, and we're going to see probably what's just going to be a rush in.
Yeah, 15 seconds remaining on the clock. Pryde, Dylan is able to get the bomb down in a great late round play from Oni, able to find the double kill and secure Pryde that round. That came down to the very wire. Either team, if they won that crucial gunfight between Dylan and the Maestro of hostile actions, the winner of that gunfight probably comes out and takes the round. Crucially, Pryde able to win their ones in that final round, but that was too close for comfort, in my opinion, for the side of Pryde. They left that very close. Hostile actions able to make work of a bad situation, able to try and find the silver lining, the light at the end of the tunnel. And either way, if a single gunfight went the way of Hostile Actions, or if they were able to get another one of those nitro cells, it could have easily gone their way. Both teams are striking blow for blow, and they're very evenly matched.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues that comes down to this gym, and they're gonna have to go back to it. This really is kind of what it felt like, is they were ignoring certain bomb sites, and I'm not sure why, but the biggest thing about gym bedroom is if you can get a hold of construction and a little bit over, and you can clear out gym, those windows play a lot like consulate windows on top floor CEO, where you're really struggling to it's hard to move around those sites with those windows being open and people on them. With that being said, it really just came down to maybe if one more gunfight had gone in the way of Hostile Actions, if Devils could have beaten out the Maverick, we could be seeing a completely different round. And Hostile Actions could be doing what Pryde did to them in game number 1 and going up 2-0. That isn't what happened though, and we're going to see another attempt here. Let's see if they can recognize maybe where these attacks were coming from.
Yeah, I think both teams are really adapting to their mistakes excellently. Hostile Actions, they're putting pressure onto their opponents through the roams, and they're not getting over aggressive. Pryde now is doing their due diligence. They're droning themselves in, and they're playing together as a roster excellently. We'll see an earlier take coming out from them, as now instead of using certain bits of utility, they're using the Hibana to open up the CC wall. They're getting Samuel in as well, and it's a great early play, but they aren't finding the kills as early as they did. Hostile Actions are sitting back and they're letting time burn out. It's excellent play from both teams, but I have to give the adaptation benefit over to the side of Hostile Actions. Now, though, the execute is coming out from Pryde. They're getting themselves into good positions, and if they can make this execute cleanly, then they'll be in a very good position to take this round.
And that's going to be a beautiful swing coming out from Samuel as the C4 could have netted a couple kills. Axon going to play this one smart, though. He said, I'm not going to play my life in here. I can get away. Limbo playing beneath, looking for those C4s yet again. So there's an opportunity here that they could catch a couple of these players off guard. They got a C4 kill last time. Why not do it again? And we're seeing this very cash take over. But they do have some holes to try and cut off rotations in that jacuzzi wall. So now here we go. Here comes the window play.
Yeah, Hostile Actions are doing a good job of recognizing, hey, we don't want to give map control up for free, but we don't want to cost our lives holding on to CC for another 10 seconds. That being said, they get themselves into good positions. Now is when they can't relent, and now is when they have to take these gunfights. Axon finding the kill on Samuel on the external wall is a very good start, but it is still a 4v4. Pryde, we know how strong they can be in these late round executes. They have map control on their side, as Silver Lining 2D said, and they are able to burn out all of these ADSs. They're in a very good position. It's just going to come down to gunfights as it runs down the 40-second ticker remaining. Pryde, they're in a very good position, but it's just going to come down to who wins their ones.
Yeah, with Limbo playing underneath, and oh no, they're going to have the information, I think, onto Rizzer, and he's just going to swing him for free. Axon looking like the man that's going to step up and be the heroics, but Limbo's playing beneath. It doesn't matter. If he jumps in the window, he's going to get taken down. That's exactly what we see as Limbo finds the frags. 10 seconds, the fuser is down. Does he have the C4? And it looks like he does, but it's not going to hit. Is the Maestro cam up? It is! And it's going to be able to down the planter, and a joint effort between Limbo C4 and the Maestro cam is going to be the difference in winning this gym bedroom round.
Yeah, that was a masterclass from Hostile Actions in working that map control. You don't want to give up control of areas on the map for free. That being said, you also don't want to waste a two-man advantage early on in the round. Devils dying early definitely could have been saved. That Nitro Cell nearly in a position to find a 3K with the fragmentation. But Axon falling back to site in the 4v5 and crucially netting 2 kills, one on the external player of Samuel and one aggressing onto the player in, I believe that was construction. exploiting Pryde's lack of coverage, exploiting them not watching their angles, not doing their due diligence, not recognizing that aggressive potential that is there on the defenders. And from there, they just got themselves into a position where they could sit back, wait for Pryde to make their execute, wait for the roamer that wasn't cleared out to do their work. And Zag not exposing him to much danger, utilizing those Maestro cameras to tag down their opponents. It was a great play from Hostile Actions, and as they return now to CCTV, they look like a very solid team. They look like they've shored up a lot of mistakes, and Pryde, they're going to be the ones that once again have to do their due diligence of the roam clears. They're going to have to stay vigilant for aggression from Axon, and they're also just going to have to win more of their gunfights.
Yeah, I mean, Axon has come up big on I think both rounds that Hostile Actions win have come off of Axon doing extremely huge work. I believe the first round, which would be the first CCTV round, he was the one that flanked up and killed Dylan on the flank, or the Habana, whoever was playing it, and then was able to get a trade with the Ash. So getting a 2K there, and then once again, bringing it here again, he's able to get Ash, and then the Sophia. So Axon has been a big part of why this team, Hostile Action, has been able to get 2 rounds so far. And I think he's going to have to continue this aggression for them to continue to see success.
Yeah, his roams have been very impactful because not only have they traded out 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, he's been able to crucially buy time. Trading a 1 for 1 as a roamer with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on the clock, not the best thing. And as we can see, unfortunately, you can't win every gunfight. Samuel winning the 1v1 that he lost in the previous round does get them control. But crucially, Axon didn't go down with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Didn't go down with 2 minutes. He went down with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining on the clock. It bought time for the side of Hostile Actions. It put pressure onto their opponents. But we can see Pryde, they're recognizing the threat that their opponents brought. They recognize that there's not just one roamer on the flank, there's 2. And they cleared them out. They did their due diligence, and now they're just mopping up their opponents.
Yeah, I have to say, we saw the yellow ping come out, right? We saw it right before he swings that hatch. You see the 2 ping comes up. He knows exactly where he needs to pre-fire his bullets, and Axon still almost gets away with murder there, being able to put down Samuel. But the swing in, and the reaction times just seem so low from the Maestro, and all of a sudden the round's over. A flawless from the side of Pryde, and I just don't understand the Maestro. I mean, I watched the Maestro stare at him for a few seconds. Just a lack of reaction time there. And we're going to see right here, you see the 2 ping, that yellow ping that was introduced. Samuel's able to swing very well with so much information, a exact ping location that is not seen by Axon. So he's not going to move thinking he is not droned. And that is just beautiful drone work from this side of Pryde.
They may not be running any of the GSG-9 German operators, but they're running a pretty solid blitz pace in these rounds. Shock and awe. Zag may be just stunned with the pacing of their opponents. I don't know. I don't want to call them out too much. It happens to the best of us. But Pryde stepping up with those frags once again, and Samuel, Oni, as well as Rizzer all finding impact in these rounds, and that's what we want to see. We see teams who are very tempo-based, very frag-based, sometimes get off to slow starts, sometimes struggle to find momentum on their players, and that can cost them a few rounds. Now they return to their very familiar rush pacing, and they just looked dominant in that round. They found the roam clears very quickly. They played off of their drone work very well, utilizing that ping 2.0, and Hostile Actions, they look shaken. They look like they didn't have that same awareness, and they didn't seem like they were doing their due diligence in terms of watching out for the pacing that we saw from Pryde in the first match that got them those 2 rounds up. And once again, we see them now moving on to the basement side. They're taking these aggressive plays very early on. Snow's is making these early holes in, looking for that execute through dirt. And Pryde, they're just going to be the ones setting the tempo of this map.
Yeah, this is kind of why I said to ban the Maverick instead. Snows has just got this Maverick tricking down. You saw it was a little bit shakier for the side of Devils. Not bad, but still a little shaky. And I mean, Samuel's just pushing in. He's going to be able to get the ADS for free. And now there's really nothing saving him as you see the flashbangs going off. And a well-timed nade here might be able to get this smoke out early on. Seeing what looks to be pretty much going to be the kind of default we begin to see is this default kitchen. We're going to see the trick come out from the Malusi, but I don't, if I can see how many impacts do they have. So they've almost used all of them. The slow Sam is going to be able to pick up one, but he's going to be quickly traded off. Maybe not thinking that Limbo had left dirt, but in fact he was still there waiting and laying in wait with that shotgun out.
Yeah, and Hostile Actions able to find the 1-for-1, a beneficial trade for the defense, I would have to say, with time running down and the explosive utility taken off the board. Those Malusi gadgets as well as those crucial Maestro cameras are going to be able to stay up alive much later into the rounds. And what that's going to mean is that Pryde is going to have to make a very swift and deadly execute. They're not going to be able to take this war of aggression because that benefits their opponents. Axon being trapped off the roam, that is a crucial kill that Pryde needs. That is the thorn in their side removed. They now can focus solely on the 3 anchors remaining off site. And I actually want to see, is Just Dom playing on this site? I see 3 bodies. Yep, he's playing on the basement side. Pryde now just has to focus on their opponents. And now with enough explosive utility, they get the angles, they get their Malusi gadgets down, and now Hostile Actions, they're going to be in a difficult position. We've seen them clutch out these rounds, but they will need to really play strong from this man disadvantage. Pryde, they're warming up, they're finding these frags.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to take the smoke out. Not sure how many canisters were left, but that's going to be a big pick, if any. And it looks like they're going to have all the control they need. One can drop, one can play on the roof, and the C4 is not going to be able to connect, but an unnecessary swing from main stairs. But in a 2v1 now, and Oni, once again, on that sledge, is going to be able to pick up the 2K to lead his team into victory. An unfortunate missed C4 opportunity is going to be the difference between that round going to Hostile Actions.
Yeah, we saw Pryde. They got their warm-up rounds in. Now they're here to play. Samuel crucially finding the kill onto Devils. A great 2-man swing coming out from Hostile Actions, but Samuel still able to make the best of the 1v2, finding that initial frag and able to open up that round. Hostile Actions, they've looked very good, but their roams have not been finding really any impact since Axon clutched out that second round on Jim. Now
Yeah.
it looks like Pryde are the ones that are able to deal with it, and Axon, we saw him, I believe it was 4-1-2, 3 rounds in. He's now 4-1-5, 5 rounds in, and Pryde, they've just been able to shut down those roams.
Yeah, the only rounds that Hostile Actions have won is the rounds where Axon is able to make big plays. And I think those first 2 rounds really solidified them on Pryde's side. We need to find these guys. We need to have better droning. Although the gym bedroom one was a bit different, as Samuel just unfortunately missed him on the rotate out, even though he was playing on that window. But did you know between both maps, Rizzer has a 100% headshot rating?
That's nutty. That is absolutely ridiculous. And considering the fact that he's not even the top 2 fragger on his team, that just makes it more scary going up against a lineup like Pryde. You have 3 players who are just nightmares to go up against, with 2 amazing supporting casts of Dylan and Snows. And they're just all hitting their shots. They're all stepping up. And once again, we see them take early control of this match. Snows able to find this Maverick earlier on. Pryde, Oni able to enable him to get that much earlier on, breaking out that soft destruction so that the reinforcement will fall in one fell swoop. And now we can see Pryde. They're falling back. They're recognizing the aggression that their opponents have available, and they're baiting it out, and they're getting themselves into good positions. We see them really drill this attack. Now they have control. Now they have the ability to clear out the roamers, as we can see them on this western side of the map at this point, and they're just doing everything correctly. And Hostile Actions now, they really need Axon and Limbo to step up and to find these frags on the roams. Otherwise, Pryde, they just look so solid on these default executes with this just immense fragging potential behind Oni and Samuel.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They've got this Mavericking down to a T, but as I say that, Maverick is going to get picked off. It looks like right outside stock, a trade's going to come off, but a grenade team kill from Oni is going to put this in favor of Hostile Actions, and they're going to need this round. They are on the defense. They cannot go into the attacking side of Clubhouse with a 4-2 split, but that grenade kill might have just saved them. And also, it looks like a bit of Miss Habana play here. But oh no, Zag's not paying attention, and his backside is sticking out. And that's going to find this tied up in a 3v3. But we are coming down to that 20-second meta of 40 seconds.
Yeah, and this is not something that you want to play literally. It's called the 20-second meta, but you don't want to be executing with just 20 seconds remaining on the clock because you're just going to run into the waiting arms of your opponents. Yes, you got that Aldo 556 out of the way, but you still have 2 SMGs and shotguns remaining. Limbo has been fragging out, and now you make your final execute. Rizzer pushing into cash. Dylan able to find a crucial frag now, going on that plant, but Oni is finding the frags. Devil with the Nitro Cell is able to find one, able to stop the plant, and now, crucially, if he's able to find this final frag, he'll be able to win the round. He is able to find the head, but he's not able to stop the plant, and crucially, he misses the frag. Rizzer finds the headshot onto Devils, and you are saying you don't want to go into the second half with a 4-2 split on the side of the attackers. Hostile Actions was so close. That was right there. He just missed it. And that is just gutting for the defense.
It's what you see with SMG 11. I have rotated my play style into something of a smoke player, and the hardest part about it is learning that you can't just go full auto with that SMG 11. And we might have seen a bit of panicking from Devils. You just saw him let loose, and those 17 bullets are gone in a hurry. So unfortunately, it was right there on the tip of his gun. He just can't make it happen. And going into a 4-2 split, and we already saw Pryde's defense on Oregon on a defensive sided map. Pryde is taking advantage of those kinds of picks. And if you're Hostile Actions, you are in a very, very steep uphill battle at this point.
Yeah. We often say strategy first, fragging second. We saw a bit of issues with a team like In Control. They played strategy first, fragging second on their first map of Oregon. It came to Clubhouse, and they played a bit more fragging first, strategy second, and it bit them in the butt. Moving into this map, we see Pryde. We saw them struggle a bit with more fragging first, and that costed them 2 rounds on the first map and allowed Hostile Actions to find 3 in a row on Oregon on that first match. However, they look like a very drilled team on the defense. They have their defensive defaults just drilled out. They have their setups very well. They played around that clash incredibly on Oregon, and they look like a team that has that strategy to fall back on. They're not just reliant on frags. They're not just reliant on their players to show up on the day. They just have that as a bit of an extra, a bit of a bonus to go along with the very solid fundamentals that they have. And I think that's what separates these two teams. Hostile Actions, they do have those fundamentals. They're just not quite nearly as strong mechanically as their opponents. In Pryde, they're playing to their strengths. They're recognizing, hey, we might not have the same reliance on our strategy, but we can win our gunfights. And if we're able to get ourselves into positions where we can take these gunfight wins, then they can essentially ignore certain aspects of the strategy that Hostile Actions are throwing at them. And now moving on to the defense with a 2-round advantage at the half, that's a very dominating position. In Hostile Actions, they're going to have to find these early rounds in this half to stave off match point, and it'll be a very tough round for them to do that in.
Yeah, I mean, Axon's going to be able to find the opener onto Rizzer, and that's going to start them off the correct way. That's like we see here. Looks like that was their blue player or their generator player, and that is a big pick to find, especially since we're seeing maybe a Moto and Church take coming out from the side of Hostile Actions. Limbo here looked like he might try to drop Oil Pit, and it looks like they're going to try to get control of this blue with a simultaneous pinch. And if they can get control of blue, they're looking really good in the driver's seat to take this Moto and Church control. Seeing a bit of a switch up here, though, and that might lead to the downfalls. It looked like someone was trying to creep up to Oil, but smartly, they've backed up.
Yeah, Hostile Action making this execute, but Pryde, we know how good they are with their controlled aggression. They find the frags, but the trades are going in the favor of the attackers. Devils finding the frag, crucially able to get themselves the 4v3, but we can see the pressure is falling on these players. Limbo not able to make that frag work. Pryde finding these trades, but they're still going in the favor of Hostile Actions. They're in a very difficult position. The smoke coming out, crucial for Pryde. Snow's finding the kill, and now it's into a 2v2. Just Dom and Devils, they do have the spike, they do have the diffuser down, but they're in opposite locations. They're not quite able to defend themselves as one goes for the plant, and now with time taking down, Pryde just has to stay alive. They'll be able to deny this plant. We can see Devils rotating over towards Armory, but Snow's able to find the kill. The Maestro goes down. Devil's able to find the single kill, but Snow's now with time on his side is able to go for the swing and is able to find the frag. Pryde coming down to the wire, but just able to go tit for tat. No kill unanswered, no frag unanswered for either team, but Pryde just with that fragging potential coming out on top at the end of it all. Absolutely incredible coming out from every player on both teams. Pryde just able to edge it out.
I mean, we see that aggression. If you're going to go for a Church Thermite, someone's got to be on that main stairs to watch your back. And that didn't come out from the Ash player, as I believe it was Samuel on the Malus. He was able to just freely swing on the Thermite, not only getting Thermite, but his charge as well. And I think that right there completely ruined the round. You can come back from losing your Thermite if the wall gets opened, but the fact that he was able to not only stop the wall opening, but get the free pick, I mean, it was just beautifully well played aggression, and the 1-for-1 trade is 100% always going to be worth it.
Yeah, that was a crucial kill. Really exciting to see. Zag, unfortunately, not able to make that work. And while he has been, and the rest of Hostile Actions, you can see on their team, they have been finding very consistent plays across the board. It has just not been enough. They haven't been able to push themselves over the line. Just Dom, he's been really struggling. We saw him in that round and not quite able to get that frag grenade into position. Possibly that could have been what they needed to force that that I think it was a Valkyrie out of position on Dylan, but unfortunately what's done is done, and now Pryde 5 rounds on the board, the first round in the second half going in their favor. They're one closer to match point and one closer to making this a 2-0 in regulation, and that would catapult them, I believe, to the top of the table. And with how dominant these games have been, possibly with round differential, to the top of the leaderboard entirely.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking. If they can especially take a 7-2 or 7-3, I think they will put them right close. I can't remember the exact score lines from the other night, because I believe it is who played Synthetic Visionary. I believe they are the ones that are on top right now with a very similar score differential. Redux, that's right, Redux. But it's definitely going to be interesting. They brought the Cade, but not really going to do a whole lot, because you know the Maverick's going to get brought. They're going to begin opening this wall, and now I'm curious. We saw from Pryde a construction take. Are we going to see maybe a more garage, rafters, and main wall take coming from hostile actions. Both are very viable and both can work, and we saw that. So I'm just intrigued to see what the plan comes next. Where does this push come from? The wall is open. You've got a good bit of time left, but where do we go next? And it's going to be Oni to find one onto hostile actions. That's going to be the Maverick down. And there he is. He's on 10 yet again. This man cannot be stopped.
Yeah, I think with the Wamai ban, that definitely the garage would have been their opportunity, their indication of that attack. But you can see Samuel playing very well, and with the Capitao being banned out, is going to be a much more difficult attack to make. Hostile actions now in the 4v5 will have to really worry about this, and Samuel playing this aggression could be the crucial kill, but instead it allows hostile actions to get themselves back into this round. A crucial kill for Zag to get, making up for the mistakes in the previous round. Now they're in a 4v4. Now they have control of Garage, and they have the ability to make this crossfire. They're finding these frags onto the roams. Just Dom finding his first kill in this match. We saw him frag out in the first map with 12 kills, finding 2 in the round. Crucial kills for him to manage. And it is now just on to Rizzer and Dylan to clutch out this round of 3v2 coming out in their favor. And with the 3 players being over towards CCTV and Garage, it looks very good. However, 20 seconds remaining on the clock. Pryde now just has to deny this plant with just a small sliver of time remaining on the clock. 10 seconds remaining on the board. Hostile actions, they need to make this defuse come down right now. And with the Nitro Cell coming out from Dylan, they're just able to slaughter their opponents. Just Tom able to find the trad, and it is just left onto Dylan into the 1v2, not able to clutch it out. And just Dom with 3 on the round, a crucial play from him. He's been silent so far in this map. Stepping up really just allowed them to take this round and stave off map point just that little bit longer.
I mean, you talked about his scoreline from last game, and it's obvious that that's probably hindering the team. And as you can see, I mean, just dominating, coming out swinging, finds the 3K, shuts down Oni, shuts down the final player, and it just absolute great play from him. And if he can continue that level of success on finding these roamers, getting these frags, we could see the possibility of a comeback from hostile actions. The rest of the team is being able to kind of keep up with their kills. I think they're all right around 5 or 6. So with just Dom starting to pick up his own pace, we could start to see them make some sort of comeback. But going back to CCTV, that was a great attack. I feel like Samuel is one of those 50-50 players. Either he comes out swinging and he finds those crucial aggressive frags, or he gets shut down, and it doesn't bring anything, and he just loses the man count for no real reason. With that being said, he was able to impact trick off the thermite, and he was able to tick down a little bit of the thermite's health, but the possibility of trying to maybe rotate back up to play rafters and not give it to them for free could have been a difference in seeing that round go one way versus the other.
Yeah, hostile actions returning to attack the same site. Pryde going for another attempt. It looked very good for them, but I think hostile actions, it just went their way in terms of the roam kills. I was mistaken. Just Dom had a 4K on the previous round, and that really just was a great step up from them. Zag finding the initial kill, like you said, onto the Malusi, who's able to impact trick one of those charges, but a bit too aggressive on Garage. Able to allow hostile actions an opportunity to get back into this round. We will see Pryde, hostile actions, return with this tempo advantage. They're getting themselves control of CCTV, all 4 of those charges being burned out by Axon already to really force this tempo, and they're looking to make this quicker of an execute, but Pryde is staying alive on the roams, and that's crucial. They really lacked in terms of their map presence, and as we can see by that X-ray view, Pryde has control of the map in terms of these roams. They have the ability to backstab, and if hostile actions aren't aware, if they aren't doing their due diligence, if they don't have someone watching their flanks, that could spell doom and a possible map point for Pryde.
Yeah, I like the adaptation. Although they were able to get garage rafters, maybe they didn't feel like it was necessarily going as well as they would have liked. So they're going to opt to go for this construction take as well. We are coming down to a minute 20, and no one has died or even taken a tick of damage. So interesting to see if there's a possibility the Cade could maybe go grab his Cade charge off of one of the main wall, but it doesn't look like he's going to opt for it, and he's actually going to take a little bit of damage to that grenade. Rizzer holding a bit of a passive angle, and this might actually be a bad downfall if Rizzer knows that he can jump out of this window.
Yeah, Hostile Actions now burning out the impacts will be able to open up these walls, and a great trade coming out from them, able to find the kill on to Razor. The trade coming out, and that is one of those top fraggers from the side of Pryde going down. Now just Oni and Samuel as those major threats remaining, but Pryde, they're a strong lineup. They all can step up, and they all will need to step up, but Hostile Actions will not give them that opportunity. 2 frags going their way, all headshots in the favor of Hostile Actions, but the roamers are finding their work. Hostile Actions did not clear them out, and now Samuel on the first floor able to use that soft destruction in his favor. And now time ticking down, it could go either way. Devils with the kill is able to find 1, but Samuel once again on the roam able to find 2, and that is the round going for the defenders. Pryde able to get themselves match point, and that was exactly what we were saying earlier on. Hostile Actions, they did not clear out their roamers, and it came to bite them as Samuel, with 3 crucial kills on the round, able to clutch that one up and get themselves match point.
Wow, what an absolute round from Samuel, just going big there, and also a beautiful play from the Smoke of Snows himself, able to be able to find that initial frag onto the Ash, I believe, just pushing through sight, and he killed so much extra time. It just seemed like the Sledge and the Maverick couldn't figure out if they wanted to pinch or go for the plant, and then by the time they opt to go for the pinch, Samuel is rotated back up those stairs. He's able to find the Maverick for free, and then it comes down to just Dom having to take a 1 or go for a plant. And it could have gone either way. A bit of too much over aggression from Samuel. If he had lost, that could cost the round. But when he could have possibly just ran away, waited a few seconds, knew that the plant had to go down at that point, and then ran back up. Either way, Samuel hit some clean shots, and he's going to take the top of the scoreboard here at 11.
Yeah, that was a really great play coming out from him. We saw him struggle in the early rounds. Losing that gunfight to Axon in the 3rd round costed them. And after that, he has just come back for a vengeance. I think he is in the 1v1s with Axon. He's just found every single one of those kills after that point. And now 2 members of Pryde on double digits. That is ridiculous. Hostile Actions, though, on the flip side, they have been consistent all the way through. All of their members have really been stepping up, and that's what we like to see, but they'll need to do more than that. 3 rounds in a row to stave off the 2-0 from Pryde and get themselves at least a single point for going to overtime could be what they need. Initial damage onto Oni is good, but damage is not kills. They need to find something early on because they just have not been able to push it over the edge in many of these attacking rounds. It has gotten so close. It has come down to the wire time and time again, but they just need a bit of something early on. Otherwise, it just looks like Pryde. They're so good in these late rounds, and I wouldn't take the 50-50 chance of a late round going your way if I was Hostile Actions.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen time and time again players on 1 HP still managing to get trades with another player. So not being able to finish off that very crucial kill on a Maestro of all things, you would have taken away the 2 impacts, his ability to rotate those Maestro cams, which you can assume he hasn't done at that current point. And that would have been a massive, massive pick to try and allow Hostile Actions, maybe a freebie back into this game. With that being said, they're not going to get it, and it looks like they are going to start to open up this kitchen floor to try and maybe scare off the impact trick, but I believe they tried this exact same tactic last time, and they still managed to impact trick quite a bit, but Rizzer is going to take a lot of damage himself. They're getting so close to finding picks. If only they could just finish them off.
Yeah, and Pryde, they're making these aggressive plays, and while they aren't finding much damage onto their opponents, what they are finding is time. It's a minute remaining on the clock, and you don't have control of the basement. Pryde, we can see so many of the players can hit heads, and Pryde only able to find a kill despite being below 25 points of health, able to get the headshot, clean kill onto Limbo, and it is just not going their way. Axon is able to trade one back, but now Pryde with the man advantage, they're just able to trade these kills out one for one and comfortably round out this final possible round.
I mean, we talked about it. What do we say? We've seen players with 1 health still be able to get a 1 off, and Oni at this point has done that, taking out the Ash of all people, and now it's down to a 3v4, but one player is pretty much dead, as we know, and the swing out is not going to net anything as Devils is able to find Dylan. This is a very good position as they have the health advantage, but Samuel, the aggressive swings again, and it's down to a 2v1. It's all up to just Dom. He finds one, but Oni is able with low health. He was almost dead at the beginning of the round. Is going to be able to find 2 crucial frags and clutch it out. And Pryde are going to take the full points from both maps.
Yeah, that was a great game coming out from Pryde, and I'd have to say they looked like a really solid team going into this. They're leading in Hostile Actions. They're a solid team. We know that they're a great fundamental team, like Sako was saying, leading us in. But Pryde, they're different gravy coming into this. They look so solid, and I saw a great analogy. We saw some great calls from BDS. They have their playbook of Shaiko go frag, Renshiro go frag, and Braid go clutch. And we saw that coming out from Pryde. They had their 3 main players that they just said, go kill. And when that didn't work, they had a strategic base to fall back on. And that carried them through a lot of rounds. They look very well prepared. They look very drilled. It's a very tenured lineup with very small roster changes, the former HC lineup, and they look like a very solid candidate for the top of the regular season leading into season 4. They have my bet for taking the top step because they look so strong in both the micro and macro play.
Yeah, it was definitely very interesting. And sorry, I just wanted to talk about just some of their refrag game was top notch there. The trade onto the Zofia, that was so smart because Rizzo was already low health. They trade out the Zofia and they know no one else is pushing blue. So they have now secured blue or generator with no fear. And that is a beautiful play by them. But Sako, my friendly Hawaiian brother, I'll let you talk.
Yes, thank you, Barada. But yeah, what an amazing game. Wait, why did I do like the old Ugandan Knuckles meme accent there? I don't really know, but what a game. It's been fantastic. I'm getting booed by my producers in the other chat, but you know, it's all well and good. But we do have somebody special in the chat. It's going to be Rizzer, who is from Pryde. After that amazing 2-0 victory, you get all 6 points that were able to be gotten. So Rizzer, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Awesome. Well, yeah, happy to have you in here. So, really, what's going through your head here, especially, I'm going to go back to Oregon for my question, and I'll toss it over to Alan Wetnude. But what's going through your head when you started stalling a little bit on those couple rounds? I would say round number 3 through 5 there. What did you say to your team to sort of get them back to that?
On Clubhouse?
On Oregon, sorry.
Oregon?
Yes.
So that was our attacks, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So you guys were attacking, and it would be because round 1 and 2, you guys won those by like really aggressive rushes, and then rounds 3 through 5 was when Hostile Actions picked it back up.
Yeah, those rounds we just had horrible comms. We just weren't talking to each other correctly, and we were just like talking over each other, and it was just a mess.
Mhm.
So that's really the only reason we lost those.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Al, Wetnude, I'll leave it up to you guys real quick to ask your questions then.
Al, you can go first if you have any.
Yeah, starting off the match, you found a ridiculously paced attack going in for the rush. Is that something that you usually do just to set the tempo of these matches? We know you're a very frag-heavy team, but we weren't exactly expecting a full 5-man rush within the first 30 seconds of the map.
We always try to rush if we see the opportunity. Like, we were planning on rushing that entire game because we figured Homeland would be easy. We've already beat them in close calls. So they were just going to be easy. So we just planned to rush and kind of monkey the entire game.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way of putting it. I've played you guys on Oregon in Omega, and you guys are no joke. That's a really good map for you guys. I don't really have a lot of questions. I mean, you guys just played extremely well. We were talking about stalling, but then you guys kind of picked up the pace, and you guys just absolutely gunned out. I mean, that just case in point, it looked BD-esque for T3 NA. Like, when it seemed like you guys had nothing, no options, you guys would just punch in the front door and just start clicking heads.
Yeah, clicking heads is kind of easy.
With that being said, the floor is yours. Any shout outs that you'd like to give with that dominant performance in week 1?
First of all, I'd like to shout out Sam for not listening to us at all when we say don't peek, don't swing. Let's see, I'd like to shout out Dylan for clutching because he's an incredible player. I'd like to shout out Oni for actually setting the pace of both rounds, for literally getting an ace on the first round. And then Snows for literally always getting my refrag. So I love my team. My team is great. And great for being an idiot.
Excited to see you guys coming in these next few weeks. You guys really set the tempo, and I believe you guys are now at the top of the table.
I would say so. Yeah, you guys are either at the top or tied right now with Redux Rising for that tentative first place. But I do have one more question, or actually 2 points real quick. One question is, Rizzer, what do you have to say to your opponents that are going forward in SCS? Do you have anything you want to say to them? I know there was some chats and stuff like that in the game.
I'd like to say good luck. Yeah, just good luck. I love everybody in this league. They're all pretty cool people, and even when I'm trash talking, it's just out of good fun. It's not toxic or anything. So
awesome. Well, yeah, we love to see that, Rizzer. We love to see your guys' gameplay as well. It was a beautiful series of games today. And also, I do want to say something before we kick it over to the analysts. It is actually the Pryde org owner's birthday. I was made aware earlier on Twitter. So happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
So, yeah, there you go. You guys gave him a pretty good birthday present, I'd say, a 2-0 in your debut. So awesome, Rizzer. Well, with that being said, unless any of my casters have anything to add to that.
I am good.
Good? All right. Okay, well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and send it over to the analyst. Al, Wetnute, thank you so much for being here and casting this first series. And we will see you guys back again soon, that's for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Pond, Artie, welcome back.
Hello. That was a lot of fun to watch, especially with the context from that first game, just going into this next one. I definitely had a lot of fun watching that and taking a lot of notes on just kind of what was going on. And it was also nice to get a peek into Rizzer's mind there to see what they were, what was kind of going through his head. I mean, I know what was going through their enemies' heads, which was mostly Rizzer's bullets, but a lot of good stuff there.
Oh man, that's a good take right there, not gonna lie. I mean, both maps Rizzer was on it. I think he ended up with like that 90% almost headshot rating. I'd have to look at the stat sheet for sure on that, but he was on fire.
The entirety of the analysts, we actually kind of like got sad every time he got a kill that wasn't a headshot. It was kind of a moment of shock between all of us. So yeah.
he said it well himself in the interview. Clicking heads is easy. Oh man,
one of the things I do want to go over for this though is just watching, especially right here on this replay, when we watched HA, they definitely put up a good fight up against Pryde. And right here specifically, though, we kind of watched one of the things that ended up happening a lot was HA, they put themselves in a really good position a lot of the time and just choked. Like right there, Goyo just sitting in the corner, waiting for so long. And then as soon as he decides to throw the C4, that was when he got peeked out. And, just little things like that. But it was also this round that we saw one of the best clutches of all time through HA's Maestro. I think that was one of my big reasons for wanting to check out this round here. We oftentimes you see Maestro get picked up, and they never really use the cams as much as they should here. But I love highlighting every time we see a Maestro get a kill with them cameras. What do you think, Pond?
Oh my God, love Maestro cameras. It is always something that's funny to watch. Like Maestro does have that Alda, and like people are like, yeah, Alda go burr. Like I think that's the main joke of him. But people don't realize he brings so much more to the table. He's got a shotgun secondary, LMG primary, Intel gadget, explosive secondary gadget. He's the
Yeah.
perfect operator, but a lot of people don't actually use that little zap on his camera a whole ton, and I love it. I love it when teams like Hostile Actions actually make use of that, and knowing that the Hibana was at the low health when they pushed in, to just kind of be an absolute little pest with that Maestro camera.
Absolutely. And as much as Pryde did just manage to frag out this entire game, I think that HA put up a solid fight, and they definitely they didn't go easy into the night here. This is where it happened, I believe. Here we watch Oni try to plant it out, and then Maestro's sitting on that camera. I was just so happy to see that happen when it did. That was my favorite thing. Oh man. And then I think the other round that we're going to be going into is round 7. And that one, there was a lot of stuff that happened here that really kind of highlighted the fact that Pryde is very, very good at what they do. And HA just, they picked up a really good kill here very early on. They actually took out Rizzer. But then there was just so much stuff that happened during this round that even when it went down to the 2v2 and then the 1v1 at the end of this round here, Pryde was just able to completely capitalize on all the little mistakes that HA made, even after HA just got really early pickups on the top players.
You know what it kind of looked like to me, honestly, from both Oregon and Clubhouse, is I think Pryde was just sort of reading Hostile Actions a little bit better, because Hostile Actions by no means is a team that you can't discount, because they put up one heck of a fight, that's for sure. But I think Pryde was consistently capitalizing on the opportunities that they were given. Like you highlighted it really well with that Goyo earlier, trying to throw the Nitro cell out, and then he gets swung on. Like that's the perfect timing. You read that play beautifully. So if you just apply that to the rest of the game, that's what I think I saw for sure. But overall, lots of fun moments. I'm sure the chat was going crazy, and I'd like to see the chat right now, actually, while we have this moment in the analyst desk, to actually show us what your favorite moments was. If you guys had a highlight, go ahead and tell us there while we're here. But Pond, Artie, what do you guys think? Like, Pond, what is yours first, your favorite moment from both maps?
Oh man, I have to say, like, my favorite moment was the moment that actually started out both these maps, was that Oni race, Oni ace on Nomad. Plant went down within like 30 seconds. Oni came in, no post plant was set up. It was just more so like, hey, I think we can plant, let's just go for it type moment. Plant went down, and then heads were getting clicked. Like that has to be probably actually one of my favorite moments we've had so far in SCS.
I'm gonna say real quick though, Pond, you did say it was like a Nomad race there at the beginning, and I know that that was an accident, but honestly, it's kind of true. That was honestly a Nomad race. I mean, Ace went in there, planted in the first 30 seconds, and then Nomad was just zooming around the map and clicking. So it was pretty funny. I think that's honestly a good description. So, but Artie, what about you, man? What do you think?
Absolute same. With just that opening energy in the first map, and then in the second map though, you just had so many times when it came down to a 1v2, and almost every single time, you just had no idea how it was going to end up, just because it was like, okay, well, it's a 1v2 and he's in such a better position here, and like the defenders are just sitting up and they've got a one-man advantage, but it got clutched up, and a lot of the times that was Pryde just clutching up the 1v2s or even the 1v3s. And I think that, yeah, my favorite has got to be that ace at the very beginning, but there's just so many moments in that second game where it was kind of consistent high energy all the way through.
I've got to apply the same sort of points to honestly every game that I've seen so far from this season of SCS. My lord, we've been through 5 series now. We're going on number 6 coming up here very, very shortly, but each and every game has been pretty back and forth. I mean, even the round counts, when they're not necessarily displaying that, all the rounds are coming down to almost like these 2v2 or like 1v2 or clutch situations or really nutty plays. So looking at that, this is going to be a season that is going to produce so much. So if you are a player in this league, seriously, and you're watching right now, turn your OBS on, get your clips, man, honestly, because a lot of this is it's really, really fantastic to see. So, oh man. But what are you guys thinking here after this first week? I know we're still waiting on one game to be played, but do you think Emergence versus Renaissance is going to be that same way, or is it going to be more of a battle of strats or something like that? What's your guys' sort of look on that game?
Well, I think that Pond is going to be a little bit more. He's going to be more of the advanced person to speak about this than I am. But I do think that for that lineup specifically, it's going to come down to a lot of what choices those teams make in their individual operator selections, round to round, and how well each team is going to be able to, read the other team and say, all right, well, they've been pulling out these strats all game. What can we do to counter it? Just because of the fact that you've got a very, very even lineup in terms of skill and all that. So, Pond, what do you think?
Swinger gets swung. It's the name of the game, boys. Swing or get swung.
Alda goes bird.
Alda goes burr, swinger gets swung. I mean, I know that a lot of teams will bring out a lot of strats, and teams will teams honestly play strats fairly well, but it's swinger gets swung. You got to get the early kills. You got to get aggressive a little bit earlier on. I know if anybody ever actually pays attention to like some of the things to talk about, I always rag on teams for being maybe a little bit too aggressive, for being a little bit too passive. And really, it matters more on where you are having that aggression and that passiveness come in. Like you saw right there in that clip, Rizzer just swung right in. No one was watching the angle, nothing. I mean, if you're going to be getting passive, hold angles and hold active angles. Don't hold a passive angle, hoping for somebody to come across, hoping for something to happen. If you know where somebody's at, actively hold that angle. Don't just let them come in and peek and get the peeker's advantage on you. I mean, it's aggression like that where Rizzer, as soon as Rizzer rushed in, should have been killed, but wasn't. I mean, I think that as much as like strats do come out, and teams do have some pretty deep strat books, the team that is getting those opening frags, putting the other team at the disadvantage earlier on, those are the teams that are going to be succeeding. So it's T3 Siege, swinger gets swung.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
So really quick too, I know we're talking about Rizzer a whole lot, and I'm going to keep talking about Rizzer a little bit longer for you guys, but if you guys looked really closely, okay, he played Zofia pretty much every round on attack. But if you noticed his setup, he ran angled grip and suppressor on his Zofia, which is kind of funny to me. I mean, I don't think anybody runs suppressor willingly, but I guess Rizzer does. So do you think, is that a bit of like a BM move, or is that going to be just more personal preference? What are you thinking?
All I know is that mid-match, I launched Siege and changed up my Zofia class specifically to just copy that man. That was such just like a flex. Was not only is he out here performing as Zofia, not only is he out here using, like showing off exactly what you should be doing with that operator, but he's doing it with an angled grip and a suppressor. And if anything, that is just a flex.
Nah, man, I gotta disagree with both of you guys here. If you really want to flex on them, and the suppressor meta came in from APAC, I came over from APAC. I gotta say, if you want to actually flex with the suppressor, you gotta rock the suppressor red dot with no grip on it at all. No angle, no angle, no vert. You gotta go red dot. You gotta go suppressor. You gotta throw on your copper charm playing in Comp Siege. That's how it goes.
Are you putting the laser sight on there too? Is it getting to that level? Like, are we putting laser sights on? Oh my god!
Absolutely.
Okay. That's
like if you're going suppressor, you go full BM.
The meta is actually to save weight on your mouse, you remove the right click entirely. You just remove that entirely and then replace that by using the laser sight. You don't need that weight.
I think you put a macro on your control key or whatever your laydown key is, honestly, too. So that way you're just honestly drop shotting 100% of the time, easy. You know what I mean? Easy hip fire drop shots.
Hey, don't give me any what was that year three flashbacks of everybody drop shotting ADS.
Everybody looking like that gif of the kid like going by angles like with a Nerf gun. You remember that? Honestly, man, just quick peeking angles left and right, just getting one tap headshots. Those were the days, honestly. Sometimes I miss Siege like that, but at the other times I'm like, thank you devs for making it a little bit more competitive integrity type. But oh man, it would be fun. That's why I hope they kind of bring back a instead of ranked hacking, what's going on currently with those weird maps popping up. I think they just need to make a game mode where you can go back and play those old maps and play those old styles and Jaeger ACOG, Ash ACOG, SMG no recoil, all that fun stuff. So I think that'd be
Absolutely. That would
Oh
be
my gosh.
just a flashback mode.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're getting a flashback mode with that Glaz buff. We haven't been seeing
Ooh.
Glaz being played at all, but I mean, because they nerfed Montang, so you can't have that like OP Glaz Montang push in. But hey, I'm getting some old flashbacks. I remember the flag, or not flag, the frag flag coming in Glaz, like absolutely nuts. But yeah, I kind of
Glass
miss the,
mounted up on Monty's shoulder, dude. It doesn't get better than that.
Oh man.
It-
Honestly. All right.
All right, well, Salco, thank you so much for having us on today.
Honestly, guys, it's been a sincere pleasure. And Artie, I think I need you to send me the link to wherever you got those sunglasses, dude, because you are chilling right now. Honestly, the drip is real. I know that our merch provider is Drip Sector, but I think we can call you Drip Artie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's just the vibes out here in Hawaii. Got to keep it all. Got to keep it vibey.
keep vibing, boys.
Awesome, guys. Well, yeah, that being said, I think we might go ahead and take a short break, just to give everyone time to get some water, transition over to the new casters, get ready for our second match. But we will see you guys back here in just a few minutes with Renaissance versus Emergence for the final match of week number 1.
Alrighty, I will see you later.